I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs spoon. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Rock bottom make a man and some pressure make a gemstone. Trying to put $1 to my name like Creflo. Ninja boy, late to the game, it's in the blood flow. And I'm from the south, it's thick skin and tough bone. Big attitude through big lips with gusto. Trust no kings, that's why they tried to crush souls. But it's IGBO, when the dust blow, this old head be standing there. No silver, just gold. Crack no books on the hustle, I was born to grind. Yo, scared of your potential, I'm adorned with mine. 30 times around the sun, man, of course I shine. My legacy will not dwarf with time. And in my daughter's eyes, it's basic, I must not say quit. Every day sees a present like a Rob St. Nick. Walk a fine line between tenacious and patient. I can't slip, I'm fighting clocks and they can't win.
I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my wounds as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Ooh, that soldier in the mirror, oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones.
Impeccably I flow, hardest raps you know, breaking status quo, reaping what I sow, artistry like Django. Get it from my mama, hip so thick that I need tempo. Personality, spicy body banging like a bongo. Cause black women been it since Timbuktu, since Pharaoh. Sponge rollers and hot combs, lips, cheeks and brow bones. If you ain't for the culture, then please stay out of my zone. These little dummy rappers could never grace like headphones. See, I'm from a place in space where ain't no storytelling, you just had to have been there. If you want the battle, ain't no problem, say where. I got so much experience, I can't even play fair. But I'ma keep evolving and growing and hurting feelings and showing. You need endurance to go in, I got mileage on this pen. I've been busy cause I've been out here schooling all these kids. Took 3 decades to have this glow up that I did.
I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Count my bones as in desert crumbs flow. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. I've got blue souls, cause I'm way gone, trying to find my way back home. Ooh, that soldier in the mirror, oh, oh. I'm gonna turn all of my stones. Turn all of my
guys were checking shoes last night to see if he was barefoot. Is that still the case? Is he barefoot? Because I know on Facebook somebody posted a picture of these could be his shoes, or is that so he is presumed to be barefoot at this point?
What I can say is that his mom says all of his shoes are accounted for at the house. I'm not going to say that he's barefoot.
All right.
Allegedly!
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. Here's a brief disclaimer for tonight's show. Let's watch.
That's ignorant! Allegedly, that's ignorant! Ignorant.
Judgment, Arthur.
Oi, you read my thoughts. You've got the shinin.
You mean shining?
Shh, you wanna get sued?
Judgment, Arthur.
You just use that shin of yours to call me and I'll come a running. But don't be reading my mind between 4 and 5. That's Willie's time.
Hey, yo, boss. I love it when he does that.
Let's watch.
Don't get me back to good bullshit.
Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. This is Lady Freedom here coming at you with another raw narrative. It's so good to be here with you guys today. I'm so glad to be here on an early live stream. So we're going to kind of keep that going through the week. Maybe 1:30 or 2:30 as a start time for the show. I have a couple of updates I want to share with you just in true crime, right? We were talking a little bit about the two little girls who were found in the suitcase, and the medical examiner has come out to speak. I have a clip of that, so I'm going to start the show with that, and viewer discretion is always advised, right? Because we do have a mature audience here. We talk about very rough subject matter. I mean, two little girls found in a suitcase. Why would they ever be put in a suitcase? Why would they be buried in a shallow grave? So, very mature content as always, even when it's a day show. Hey, Holly S, so good to see you. Thank you for being here, Chuchi. Thank you for putting in all the disclaimers always. And Witchy Mama is here. Good to see you, Witchy Mama. She says, smooch it, bop it, flick it, tap it, dance on it if you wish. Please hit that like. Thank you. And thank you guys for getting past 100 last night. That was awesome. I was so glad to be back with you guys. So, so wonderful to be back with you. Hey, Jilly B. Good to see you. It's so good to see you. And I did get your email. I just didn't get a chance to reply to it. I'll tell you, it's been crazy just getting back to normal here. And hello, Detroit. Good to see you, Detroit. And thank you so much for sharing this story, Detroit, because we do focus on Sebastian and Devlin a lot, and there's always different cases coming out. So I would love to incorporate those into the day show, and even some into the night shows. So I did cover Haley Busby a little bit because a good friend of ours here at the channel, Shauna, had mentioned Haley Busby. So I have kind of a little documentary that I want to share with you all and review today because it came out 2 weeks ago. Haley Busby has been found, but she was found deceased. And this case is absolutely riveting, in my opinion, the way that it all transpired and what her parents are trying to do moving forward so that other families and children remain safe. And hello, Nancy Fleming. So good to see you. It's a beautiful day to bring Sebastian home. I am always focused on Sebastian, and I do have a clip I want to show you all too because we were talking about the shoes. And as well as I know Sebastian's case, there has been so much conflicting information, inconsistent statements, and I just want to put Seth's words back out there again. I ended up stumbling upon a clip this morning from 5D, and they did a great comparison. I shared the entire video. I only want to share this smaller part with you all just because it does pertain to Sebastian's shoes. I believe Sebastian's shoes hold a lot of weight in this case in terms of them forgetting about the shoes and shoes being accounted for and that being a topic of discussion and interest, as it should be, in my opinion. So great to see all of you guys here. Hello, Stephanie. Thank you for being here. Hey, Paige. I'm so glad to have you. I'm so glad to be with our daytime dragons here. And Shauna, good to see you, Shauna. So glad to have you here. Yeah, I was planning to do this update with Haley, and I didn't get around to it until today. So I'm glad you're here for it. I'm sure you probably watched this little documentary. It's pretty much summing up the entire case as of 2 weeks ago. I don't know if there's been any new developments, but it's very interesting, and I think you all will enjoy hearing this update just to get more information. And also, there are some topics, again, that are very important to parents and grandparents and people in general because people need to be aware and they need to be focused on the children and their safety when it comes to online gaming, the apps, the way that these things work. A lot of times we don't understand it, and it's so easy for these kids to just download an app. And then what the predators like to do is get them to download another app in different areas of where they can access this child and befriend them, groom them, make it easier for this child to trust them. And they're building that trust through these apps and these online spaces. And it's not just little children, it's children who are older who have more wherewithal and experience in the world, and yet they're still falling for these predatory behaviors that are textbook and as old as time. I mean, if you talk to anyone who's ever been groomed or hurt by an adult as a child, they will tell you that there was trust. They will tell you that they were in a position where this person had access to them and how they gained access to them. So it's very important that we talk about this in true crime, because I don't think it's discussed enough. I just don't. My daughter is grown, but I do know that Snapchat was around. I know Kick was around. We've talked about that even most recently. I said no to that app. I said, you are not on there, period. I don't care if your dad thinks you could be on there or not. I'm paying for the phone. That is not an app for you. When we have these apps that delete conversations, how does a parent keep up with that? You just can't. There's no way that there's not enough hours in the day to keep up with it. So why let the child have it on their phone? What's the point? You know? So that's where I stand on that. Absolute trigger warning, Chuchi. Today we have some serious content to go over. Hello, KK. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. Oh, thank you, Shauna. I so appreciate you. I admire yours as well. All of us ladies keep each other grounded, don't we? Because it's easy to get passionate about these cases. Thanks, Jilly. Gosh, it's just been so busy. Hey, Bliss Blessing, so good to see you. Yay, I love having the day crew here. Look at you guys. We got our early birds, or early dragons. Aw, yes, her family's doing some good work, aren't they? Oh, pink for Haley. That's right, pink for Haley. They're lighting it up pink. A good friend of mine was sending me some updates today on a couple of these cases, and I was just so glad to hear that they're trying to make a difference, because it is so important. It's crazy how these predators have become so acclimated to these apps and the way that they're just so readily available to the kids. And I know they're working towards getting some of that, harnessed in, because these children, they don't know that there's these people out there. They think they're nice, they've trained and groomed them into trusting and believing that they're a good person. So they end up going with these people willingly. And that's what happened with Haley, in my opinion. This guy's trying to say that, he didn't have anything to do with her death, but he had everything to do with luring her out. I mean, this man was talking to her for a year, you guys. He lured her off of one app and brought her to the next app. So it's so important as parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, just society needs to realize that these are dangerous apps and there's no reason for children to ever have them. I don't even know why an adult would need something like that. Look, I document things. You guys know me. I mean, I document things, and that's part of my trauma, because I've been told before that I was a liar, or that that wasn't true. Well, if I have documentation of that, you can't call me a liar. Right. So I like documentation. I don't like this business of I send someone a message and they can delete, it just deletes it automatically, or they can delete it and I have no control over that. It's part of who I am, but these kids don't understand that. Right. That came from experience. Not I was not born with that knowledge, right? And neither are these children. And thank you guys so much for the pink hearts for Haley. Guys, Haley's a beautiful young lady, and she was messing with a man that was in his late 30s, right? I'm sure there were plenty of young boys at school that probably adored Haley and thought she was gorgeous, right? But yet here she is with this online predator. Absolutely insane. And her parents are none the wiser to these things. You see her parents, and her parents are well put together. They look like very logical, nice people, right? Who wouldn't just let their child be on the internet willy-nilly, right? Like they look like they have morals, values, and you can see that through how they were acting, right? So the first thing they did was there was a GoFundMe set up for Haley, right? And for the effort. So they were hitting the ground running, passing out flyers. Shauna, you're the one that brought this case to me, and just seeing how they were taking all the necessary steps, and now they're even moving forward and pushing for new laws in the area. I mean, that's what people do in order to help other families and to advocate for children, because no child should have to have their life cut short because of these disgusting online predators. It helps when the Amber Alert is not suitable. I know. Well, I know. And that's the thing. While I was in Tennessee, I got a blue alert and I was thinking, "Oh, I wonder what a blue alert is." And I should have known, back the blue police officers. But I never got any type of alerts for any children or anything like that. I mean, why don't they continue on putting out the Amber Alert? If there's an Amber Alert for a child, why is it not sent out sporadically? Why is it just one time Amber Alert and then everybody forgets about it? It should be, if your state has active Amber Alerts, send it out to at least that state sporadically. There's a lot to be said and a lot to be done when it comes to the Amber Alert system, the way that things are handled. Yes, I think that we need to be on the lookout for an armed and dangerous guy that tried to, that attempted murder on a police officer. Absolutely. But when that takes precedence over our kids, it really bothers me. It really does, especially when there's, almost 1,000 kids missing in Tennessee. Across the board, across the United States, across the world, we have a huge trafficking problem. I mean, when are we going to start protecting the kids? Because they need us to. They're vulnerable. They don't have life experience. So I only speak publicly on what I can prove 100%. Yeah, and we have to do that, right, Paige? I mean, that's part of it. We have to. And I think that's why this is kind of safe, because we can across the board say that we need some reform in these areas. DFS, we talked a lot about that last night. They're coming out with new information. There are some whistleblowers, right? We need those type of people to stand up, because if we don't know about it, then we can't fix what we don't know about, right? We can't keep it under wraps. And when these politicians want to, behind closed doors, say, "Oh, this is a terrible situation," but then in front of everybody else, they're shaking hands and kissing babies. I'm sorry, but something needs to happen. Something more needs to be done, because they need to be coming out and speaking out against that if they want to become a leader for their area, or whatever you want to call it, their county, their state, represent their state and government. How can you just overlook that and then go to sleep at night and think that you're doing a good job for your community? You're not. You're failing your community. You're withholding information from the public that if we knew about it, we would not stand for it. I know you guys wouldn't stand for it. I know no decent human being would stand for that. And they shouldn't. Yeah, well, and that's what it is, Shauna. It's gaslighting. Yeah, and then you're just like, I'm gonna keep everything, right? Because there's even conversations that I've thought about deleting, and I'm like, I don't know, I'll just keep it. I keep everything because there's no reason to not have that. And, again, I just don't like the deleting of things. That's another reason I don't go live on TikTok, because I want my live streams documented and out there for people to see it, because I'm trying to build awareness. I have nothing to hide. I have everything to show. And that's what I kind of try to do here. But we're limited. We are limited in a lot of what we can talk about and what we can do, right? Because a lot of times these people want this under the rug. They don't want us to know about it. They don't want us talking about it. They want us to shut up about it, right? And sometimes they get violent, and sometimes they get aggressive about us being in a position where we're willing to talk about it. Some people are scared to death to talk about it. Some people are scared to honk their horn for Sebastian, right? I mean, it's just honking their horn for Sebastian. And thank you guys so much for the pink hearts for Haley. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey, Linda Hall, good to see you. Very, very good to see you. Oh, Paige will be saying prayers for your daughter. Your daughter's seeing a new kidney specialist. Oh, well, I hope very much that everything works out there. Shauna says, and the thing is, Haley is very intelligent, even emotionally intelligent. He spent a whole year talking and grooming her. Yes, exactly. She trusted him. When we think of online, think maybe a month. No. Well, I was surprised at the time frame too, Shauna. So thank you for bringing that up. I mean, I was very surprised to learn that they were talking for a year. That's dedication on the groomer's part as well. And think of how long she was missing for before they did something horrible to her, you know? And he's saying that he simply trafficked her to someone else who took her life. And his defense attorney is a real piece of work. Let me tell you. Mama, so good to see you. Hey, Cinderella. Thank you for being here. Welcome in, guys. Thank you guys so much. Witchy Mama says an Amber Alert is missing and endangered. Why can't we have a plain old missing alert? More eyes on every missing kiddo, not just the ones that have a license plate attached. I agree, Witchy. There's all kinds of stipulations when it comes to the Amber Alert system. Why are they placing stipulations on an alert system that is designed to notify all of us when someone's missing? You know, I mean, a license plate is awesome to have, but I'm sure there are so many cases out there where they do not have a license plate number, right? And that's like Sebastian Rogers' case. They didn't even tell us a vehicle description. So I agree. There needs to just be, if they can do a blue alert, then why don't they just do, I don't know what color they haven't used, a clear alert, right? Because it's anybody. I think any missing person should be out there and we should be notified immediately because time is of the essence. Time is absolutely of the essence. And that goes for the investigation too. And we see that again in Sebastian Rogers' case. A horribly done investigation. I don't even like calling it that because they contaminated the crime scene and let everybody traipse right through. And all I can think of is, have we learned nothing from JonBenet Ramsey's case? But then again, you know, we're dealing with guys that have very large egos, and they think that they know everything. They're not even willing to ask for help when it's needed. And when they did ask for help, they were asking the wrong people. They were asking autism specialists. But they failed to recognize that Sebastian Rogers was diagnosed when he was a baby with a rare chromosome deletion. We all have a number of chromosomes that we're born with. Some of us will have an extra chromosome, which causes Down syndrome. The ones that have deletion syndromes are are classified in a different way, but it also brings on different challenges for the individual. Right? So Sebastian has a deletion on a specific chromosome that he was born with. But instead of them looking at the big picture and looking at Sebastian as an individual, they decided to talk to all of these specialists for children who would just wander off and go into the water, which many autistic individuals are drawn to the water. They do tend to roam off, right? And they're drawn to the water and they're found later that unfortunately they have drowned because they didn't realize how strong the water was or what kind of water they were getting into, right? If you step into some water, you can sink into the mud, right? Because those retention ponds are like quicksand. So a lot of times the kids will get in that precarious situation or even an individual because of the diminished mental capacity. But they treated Sebastian like he was a runaway, for one, and then they treated him like he was profoundly autistic when he's not. He's on the higher end of the spectrum. And because he has the rare chromosome deletion, it mirrors some of the tendencies or characteristics of someone on the autism spectrum. So that's why he was later diagnosed with autism. But why wouldn't his mother recognize his chromosome deletion first? No, she just pushed autism, 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 autism. I mean, I just can't believe that. As a mother, again, I cannot relate. Hello, Gina. But then you also have Sebastian's father that reminds us of the chromosome deletion because he's genuine. Mama, aw, Mama, thank you so much. You're awesome, Mama. Thank you. You guys are great. Thank you guys so much. So I want to give you guys this update on these beautiful little girls in Cleveland. They were found in a suitcase in suitcases. The medical examiner has come out to give us some more information in regards to their situation. And so here, this is credit to News 19 Cleveland. Breaking news: bodies of 2 young girls found buried in suitcases. 19 News is everywhere. Cleveland South, Collinwood neighborhood. Here we are, guys.
Granger offers professional grade products. Easy.
They're going to do an ad here. We got about 10 seconds of this. So, heartbreaking discovery. Still not a whole lot of details out at this time. Oh, what happened here? Did I?
The bodies of 2
Sorry,
young
guys.
girls found.
Hold on a second. Let me just.
Breaking news.
All right, you guys can see it. I'm sorry. I wanted to make sure you guys could see that.
Alert.
We continue to follow breaking news, and we want to warn you this story is graphic. The bodies of 2 young girls found buried in suitcases near Ginn Academy. Thanks for joining us for 19 News at 4. I'm Nicole Versansky. Brian Duffy will join us in just a bit. Our Harry Boomer spoke with people who live in that neighborhood where the discovery was made, including, Harry, I understand, one of the people who made that discovery.
That is right, Nicole. I am standing right next to the shallow graves where the young girls' bodies were found. It's eerie that someone would dump them like trash. Cleveland police say apparently their bodies were here for some time. These 2 shallow graves mark the spots where 2 young girls were found Monday evening by a man walking his dog.
Okay, so these 2 young girls were found Monday evening by a man who was walking his dogs, right? And no one reported these 2 girls missing, to the best of my knowledge, right now, right? It's so much evil in the world, Bliss. I mean, it's heartbreaking. It's unfathomable, right? You know, people might say, well, maybe this was an accident. They got scared and they, took the bodies and hid the bodies. Okay, so, but I just don't think so. I think this is absolutely evil. I mean, you don't report someone missing and then they're found and they said that they've been there for a little while. We don't have an exact but it's absolutely heartbreaking. I think that's a great idea, KK. I love the idea that Bullhorn Betty came up with having all the trash trucks detect whether there's a body in the truck before crushing. I mean, I think that would help tremendously. I don't know if they could weigh the trash before it's dumped. I don't know how they would be able to detect that, but I think that it would help if we could get something going there. So, hello, Desi. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. So, could it be that the girls were from a different part of the U.S.? Possibly, Witchy Mama. It reminds me of Gannon Stauch when his stepmother, Letitia, took him and put him in the suitcase, and then she dumped him. She drove and dumped him. So, it very well could be that we're looking at someone from out of the area. I know that there is a positive ID that it turns out that these two little girls are half sisters. So I'm guessing that the mother had custody of these two beautiful little girls, and she's the one responsible. That's my first snap judgment, right? I could be wrong. So, and Harmony too, Witchy. Harmony too. Absolutely heartbreaking. We just have to do better as a society. We have to do more to prevent these types of things.
And the only reason, brother, that I opened the door because it was you.
I appreciate that. I spoke with the man through his security door who found the partially buried bodies. He didn't want to go on camera, and he didn't say much about the gruesome discovery. He was so traumatized, he really didn't want to talk about the experience.
I mean, you seem pretty shook about what you...
Well, wouldn't you be?
Yeah.
Across the street from where you live?
Cheryl Young has lived in her home since 1999. The bodies were found across the street behind Gann Academy, a straight line of sight from her front porch.
What do you think about what was found over there? Shocked? Scared?
Yes. A little frightening. It just makes me wonder what happened, and how did that come about?
Cleveland police say the bodies of the two teen girls between the ages of 8 and 14 were discovered in separate suitcases, partially buried in these shallow graves by a nearby resident who was walking his dog.
Okay, so these girls were between the ages of 8 and 14. It seems to me that they have not positively ID'd these two little girls. Hello, Holly S. It's just heartbreaking. It is just absolutely heartbreaking.
The dog hid on one of the suitcases. Police found the second one after they responded to a 911 call.
And hoping that their family find justice and peace with this situation.
You think about it. Two girls missing.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't heard about it. Had you?
I haven't.
Well, two young girls don't just go missing without somebody noticing. As usual, police are asking for the public's help. If you know something, please, by all means, say something. At East 163rd and Midland Avenue, Harry Boomer, 19 News.
Okay, guys, so go ahead and take that off of there. So just heartbreaking. I do want to kind of keep tabs on this story and just see what transpires, because again, there's not a whole lot that we know at this point, but it seems that the medical examiners are working to identify these two young girls, and they're coming up with their report, which might take a little while. So maybe there is a missing mom that hasn't been found yet. Oh, that's a good point. Brenda says maybe there's a missing mom that hasn't been found yet. Could be foster kids, just said no matter who did this. Yeah, or just said just no matter who did it. Yeah, I mean, we just don't know, right? I mean, there could have been a situation where the father of this family, it was a family annihilation. I mean, we just really don't know. It's very up in the air right now. And because, again, they're being found later on, we just don't know. We just don't know. But, the one thing about the technologies that we have nowadays is that the medical examiners can find out a lot of information now that the bodies have been recovered. So that is, where my prayers are with the medical examiners, for them to find truth and for them to find out who these girls are and what happened to them. I know, Sandy, it's so terrible. It's terrible. And nobody knew that they were missing, Paige. It's absolutely astounding to me. And again, it could, like Brenda said, it could be where the mom, but I'm just guessing that this family was together at one point, and since there's a child from a different father involved, that the mother had custody, of the kids. That's what I'm thinking. And something has happened here. But I could be wrong. I don't know. Um, I'm just waiting to see how this kind of all unfolds. And again, we just will have a lot of information, from what they can gather from the medical examiner. Yeah, Jilly, it is. It's so sad. It's unfortunate. Um, you know, the offender felt really comfortable at the location. Houses facing that area, they look a big. Oh, or they're taking a big chance digging there, in my opinion. Yeah, I mean, Brenda, I agree. I think the well, and I think just the fact that where they were and that there was a shallow grave, I mean, it's a public place, right? The area where they were located was across the street from people's houses, right? And so and then they would have had to do this quickly. And maybe that's why the grave was shallow, because they were hurrying up and trying to conceal what had happened, right? So I do think that there was malicious circumstances surrounding these two little girls. I really do. Um, who done it remains to be seen. So, and thank you, Sandy, for the hearts for Brandy. My Lord, just keeping up with the updates and what Brandy and Tyler are going through right now. My heart breaks for them. My heart breaks for them. No, we don't know how long they were there yet. Hey, Seth, good to see you, hun. Thanks for being here. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know how long because, nobody cared to report them. Um, Kimberly, so good to see you. Hello. Thank you for being here. I want to know how long they have been there too. Where was this Ohio cold winters? I would think at least last fall if the ground was frozen. Well, that's a good point too, Witchy. This happened, yes, in Cleveland, Ohio. So, yes. Yep, sure did. So, what are you talking about why are you talking about my kids? Patrick Finnegan? Uh, I have no idea what you're talking about. Unreported, so maybe they were homeschooled. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, very well could have been. Um, yeah. Yeah, and that's the thing that always makes me nervous with homeschool. Then again, I always said that I wouldn't homeschool my daughter because she was an only child. And then nowadays I would homeschool her, because of all of the things that happen in the schools and everything like that. I would seriously consider it. I'll just put it that way. So it's just all too much, Mama. It's so sad. We are talking about the two little girls in Cleveland that were just found in suitcases in a shallow grave behind a school. I can't wait till we meet up again with everybody. Aw, KK. Yes. I think so. They were calling it an academy, Detroit. So I'm guessing it was like a little person's, school, like either that or yeah, maybe it was just a regular middle school. So I do want to switch gears because I do want to show you all this, and this is from one of Seth's lives, and this is credit to 5D. 5D is a great channel that likes to do videos on comparison, right? And just kind of puts together little compilations, a lot like what I used to do before I was going live all the time. I still like to do it. It just takes a lot of time and effort, right? And going through everything. And So I want to show you this from 5D. And this is talking about Sebastian's shoes, right? We were talking about Sebastian's shoes last night. And even though we all know the case so well, there's been a lot of back and forth and discrepancies and things like that. So I just want to share this with you. Can you all see that? Yes, you can. Oh, there we go. There we go. Okay, so let me go ahead and make that bigger for you guys. Here we go.
The case, especially within the first 48 hours, was just shrouded with the belief that he was a runaway. And that's, you know, that was a huge hindrance, obviously.
That into the open arms of a predator, or was there a roaming predator that just happened to see Sebastian walking down through the neighborhood?
I don't think he left the house on his own. I don't see how he walks out the front door, the back door, any other door, and dogs don't hit on a scent that is that fresh.
And to me, one thing that stands out is his shoes. He always wore his shoes according to his mom.
As soon as I walked in, like I remember walking up to the stairs, nobody saying anything. I opened the door, I walked in. The first thing I looked down at the left, and there was Sebastian's shoes. There was his old pair of tennis shoes, his new pair of tennis shoes that he just got, and the boots that I had just bought him. And it's like, well, all of his shoes are here. That's when I was like,
okay, guys, so I'm going to rewind that, but really quick, I just, hey, Ravioli, I just wanted to show this part, right? Because we were talking about it last night, and people were saying, excuse me, people were saying possibly that Sebastian's boots were at his dad's house, but it turns out they were at the front door. So I just wanted to recap that part of it because we were talking about it. And, you know, when you have a blended family, right, and your child is going back and forth and you're co-parenting, a lot of times, you know, the kids will want to bring their shoes or whatever, right, to the other parent's house, especially if they're there throughout the week, you know, for school and that sort of thing. And then when they go for the every other weekend, they'll bring like an overnight bag, things like that. So there was a little bit of confusion, and even I was second guessing things because I'm like, well, maybe he did have them over there, because a lot of times, like I said, kids will take their belongings and have them, you know, at both houses. So I did want to point that out, and I will replay that again just in case you guys did not hear that. And goodbye, Seth. Thank you for being here. I appreciate you stopping in. Yeah. We got to stay safe and be safe and stay vigilant. That's right, Seth. Thank you. Katie did say 4 pairs of shoes, Sandy. Yeah. They were talking about the slides as well, that he may have had some slides. You know, he may have had even some house shoes, but as far as we know, all of his shoes were accounted for, according to everyone, you know, involved. That's one consistent detail. But I think it was good to remind ourselves that, you know, Sebastian's, even his boots that Seth just bought him, we have the picture of him holding the boots at the boot barn, right? So, and we know that Sebastian liked to dress well. We know that he was, even from the voicemail, when his voice was, you know, even very little, right? For boys, their voice deepens, right? And when he had even still a high pitched, you know, voice, and he's calling his dad and leaving a voicemail and saying, "Dad, I need to look handsome for my pictures." You know, Sebastian enjoyed looking nice, right? He wanted to look fresh. Okay. And that was part of his personality. Some people don't worry about that. Some people do, right? And that's just part of what Sebastian wanted to look nice. And so, there's pictures of him in different outfits, and with the boots, he's showing off his boots, right? He's getting a new pair of boots and he likes having that. He likes looking nice. And so I just want to point that out, where the shoes were as well, because of course maybe he had some other shoes at Seth's house, but we have to always remember is that Sebastian went missing from his mother Katie's house. They want us to believe that he just vanished, disappeared, poof, right out of his room. That doesn't happen. That's impossible. Mark that off and never ever say it or think about it again, because it's impossible, right? There's a lot of things in life that are possible. There's probabilities, but that is impossible. It will never be the case because we don't disappear into thin air and never return, right? We wouldn't have cemeteries all over the United States if that was the case. So always remember that. Yeah, extremely more likely to come across a good citizen than someone who would hurt him in Tennessee. Ravioli, I've had a good experience when I was in Tennessee. I didn't have any type of a bad experience. The only bad experience that I had was when that police officer acted the way that he did and was making gestures, pointing. People were saying that was there. And I didn't talk to everyone that was there, but even the real Me Too came in and shared her experience last night, saying that the officer absolutely walked down the road and flipped Seth off, where he knew he wouldn't be caught on that corner camera. For a police officer to flip off the father of a missing child or point at him or do any of that disrespectful conduct, in my book, should not be a police officer. I wouldn't personally ever want that person to be anywhere near any of the cases because they don't know how to handle themselves. They cannot control themselves, right? Does Sebastian's case make me so angry that I would like to, rage against the machine? Of course. But I have self-control. So I'm not going to do that. I'm trying to represent Sebastian well, and they should be wanting to represent their police force well. There should be no reason for that conduct, or rather misconduct, because actions speak louder than words. Yeah, I know, Brenda. I agree. I agree. And the sad part is obviously the police were not listening. Brenda says, wish I was a fly on the wall when Seth pointed that out. Yeah. I mean, that should have been something that the police took inventory of when they came to the house. The fact that they didn't shows me that they botched his investigation. That's another check mark, botched. I mean, how many can we give them before we need to take the case away from them federally, at a federal level? Sandy says, I don't agree, Ravioli. His monster and stepdad's mom owned that county. Yeah, well, you could tell that because Kathy Bowersox was all up in the comments when that happened. She was all up in the comments. So, yeah, that voicemail was so sad, Sandy. I mean, if he walked out and came across someone, it's more likely it was a good citizen who would be worried than someone who would hurt him. Yeah, I get what you're saying, Ravioli. I do. I do. I think if someone saw Sebastian walking down the road, they'd say, hey, buddy. They'd probably pull over and say, hey, bud, are you lost? Especially when you see a child walking out in the neighborhood with no shoes on, in the middle of the night. So, No, Ravioli, you voice your opinion, hun. That's what we do here. We voice opinions, and if we disagree, it's respectfully disagreeing. You know what I'm saying? It's okay. You could absolutely be in here and say whatever's on your heart. As long as it's respectful. So, it was very unprofessional. Very unprofessional. KK, was it on my video? People were telling me that it was on my video. I was like, okay, maybe I did get it. I haven't had a chance, guys, to look over a lot of content. I mean, like I said, I finally got to Mr. and Mrs. E's, and I really wanted to go in there and support them on the live, but it's just, time got away from me. Um, so absolutely unprofessional, right, Julie? Hey, Bluegrass Meadows, good to see you. Hello, hello, hello. They failed him, or excuse me, they failed from the get-go. That house should have been shut down immediately. And Katie should have been hauled in and put in a room. And then when Chris arrived, or excuse me, sorry, when Seth arrived, he should have been brought to the station and put in a room. And they should have simultaneously been looking for Sebastian. Look, they had enough resources to do this, but they didn't. They chose not to. They absolutely failed in their investigation. In my opinion, Paige, I'm right there with you. Because that's how it should have went down. And as soon as Chris decided to show his happy ass, they should have taken him into an interrogation room as well. And sorted this out right then and there. And I'm here to tell you, Katie would have been in handcuffs. At the very least, she would have been the one. At the very least, because she was the last one with her son. There is no camera footage that says that Sebastian was walking in the neighborhood. Zero, zilch, nada, nothing. Nothing. So when people like to say, well, maybe he was out. No, he wasn't, because there's no footage. If we can see a black cat in the dead of night at 3 a.m., then we're going to see Sebastian walking around the neighborhood. He's 5'5". I mean, we need to start implementing some common sense and some logic into this case, because all of this crap and all of this, noise and hoopla, not to quote the fine sheriff, but it's all too much. The fact of the matter is that the last time we saw Sebastian Rogers, when he was leaving the Texas Roadhouse with his mother, he gets into her car, he buckles his seatbelt, and they back out of the parking lot, and he's never to be seen or heard from again. Yeah, Katie said he took the trash out, but nobody knows that. Not even the neighbors who have the footage know that. They can't tell. It's too grainy. It's dark. It looks like a silhouette is what they described it as. Seth said that he can't tell that that's his son or not. We do know someone took the trash to the end of the driveway, but just like Tony Mathis said in this interview, they have no proof. And then again, Sebastian would not have left the house without shoes on. And if he did, that would have been a fresh scent for the dogs. That would have left behind prints, even footprints, like actual footprints, like our fingerprints. Prints. Not a sock print, not a shoe print, not a boot print. Sebastian's feet. But yet they want us to believe that there's no scent of this child. So that means that there's no evidence that he left the house. And that is coming directly from law enforcement. That there is no evidence that Sebastian left the house. And I agree with that too. Kimberly says it shows they have no respect for this case. Seth should tell them they're doing nothing for his son and demand the FBI to take over. And he has, Kimberly. I mean, I say that I feel like I'm a broken record up here, but I bet you Seth feels like a broken record too. Just over and over. And when is someone going to listen? It falls on deaf ears. We have the mayor of Sumner County at an event in my thumbnail, that is the mayor of Sumner County with the shitty sheriff Snuggle Struggles, and he's sitting there endorsing that man. Oh, he's a great public servant. No, he's not. He sucks. He sucks. Why would they be upset about Seth? He is the one that they excluded from getting information about his son. Well, because they are friends with Chris and Katie. They're absolutely friends with the Bowersox, the Foot Clan. They're the Foot Clan. They're friends with them. They're allowing for this behavior. KK says, I was standing in front whenever the cops shot the bird and I saw it firsthand. I wish I would have had a camera rolling. You know, I wish I would have. Well, I'm glad that you saw that because I couldn't find one single person. Everyone's like, oh, he was pointing. He did the thumbs up, which I saw the pointing and the thumbs up. I did not see them flip the bird because I have 2 birds myself and I would have flipped them both if I would have seen it. You know, respect is a two-way street. And that's how I feel. I'm from Knoxville, and Nashville can be crazy, but looking around their house is pretty nice subdivision. Yeah, Ravioli, I agree. The area is very nice. It's a very nice area. The high school is very nice. Like the school, that whole grounds where they have the schools, is very nice and well put together. And, you know, I mean, everything is there for the kids. And then you have Drake's Creek Park right there where they have all the soccer fields and everything. I mean, it's absolutely on the surface a family friendly, cute area, but then we have it run by the good old boys. And local people were standing up for that. And local people were saying, yes, this is the good old boy system here. And it's not working out for anybody besides the good old boys. Yeah, they did. They did, Paige. They did. She says, yep, they waited until Seth left and started planting their seeds. They played Sumner County for fools, in my opinion. And if I was them, I would be very upset. I would be very, very, very upset. And that's just one of the questions that I had for Sheriff Snuggle Struggles. I would really want to know why he is okay with covering for these people and he's getting all the heat. Why would he work his whole life to get to where he is, to take all of this heat for some complete and total losers like Chris and Katie? Well, that's when we bring in Mr. and Mrs. Bowersox. That's where they come into play. Well, I think they did, and I don't even think that they were strategizing the proper way. You know, Brenda, in order to have a good strategy, you have to know what the goal is, right? And for them, the goal was finding Sebastian as a runaway. It wasn't that there may have been more to this situation. So they can't strategize when they don't even know what the end goal, the end game is, right? It's like not knowing the game you're playing, but you're still strategizing. Well, you're strategizing in the wrong areas. Yeah, yeah. I mean, Nancy Guthrie case. I mean, I covered it momentarily. You know, I want Nancy Guthrie to be found. I want Savannah and her family, you know, who wasn't involved, to have justice and have their mother back. But I have to focus on the missing kids. And that's even kids like Haley Busby and the teenagers and things like that. That's my main focus at this channel. Nancy Guthrie's 82 years old. She lived her whole entire life. These children didn't get a chance. Failed by the system, failed by CPS, failed by the politicians that like to kiss them in public, failed left and right center. And I just can't with Nancy Guthrie's case. I just can't. I can't sit there and waste my time on that. I'm sorry. And I know that probably seems very insensitive of me. And I just, to me, that's not where my heart is. I'm not going to sit there and watch YouTubers in front of her house for days on end and the whole bit. It doesn't interest me. Not in the slightest. That's right. Thank you, Desi says, justice for Michael Monkey Vaughn. Stacey Wandra is in court today on first-degree murder. Yes. And he's the only one being charged at this time, which I find to be interesting. And I don't know if that's a strategy and they're trying to get the rest of them, get Stacey to roll on them. You know, he's good at rolling on people. He's the snitch. Right? So yeah, I'm praying for justice for Monkey Vaughn. And again, I've been following Monkey's case and praying for Brandy and Tyler and for his little sister. I'm very much hoping that they never let someone like Stacey Wandra, that nasty Kool-Aid looking piece of crap, he should never be in society. And that goes for all four of them. Someone should send that footage to the News Nation that were there and asked what they saw and demand to view what they recorded. You know, I was wondering about that too, Detroit. And I do believe that, you know, there are people that are trying to get that footage as well. Because there were plenty of cameras around. I'm just worried that if he went down the street, that he wasn't caught on anybody's camera. That's the only thing I'm worried about, unless it was maybe the ones that were across the street from the police station. So, oh, thank you, Desi. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not into that. I will share it out. I will talk about it, but I'm not gonna cover like I would a missing child. You know. I hope all those honking townspeople start demanding better from the mayor, reps, and governor's office. I hope so too, Brenda. I think we absolutely made a huge impact. I really do. I think we did a great job. And I think that Sebastian's army and the demonstration that we pulled off for those 3 days, I think that that should be an example set for every single person in America. Every single protest should be just like that. Outpouring of love, support, voicing concerns, but don't damage property, don't loot buildings. Do it right. Do it right. Stay in the right, because when you go into the wrong, that's why I can't lie, guys. I did not see anyone flip anybody off. And you know, you best believe I'd be telling you guys if I did. But the fact of the matter for me is that even if he didn't flip the bird, which I'm beginning to think he did, if we have these people coming out and saying that, and I'm grateful to have you guys. I have a live stream planned. I believe we're going to do it this weekend. I have confirmation from one panel guest, and then I'm just waiting on confirmation from the other one. I like to coordinate my shows. I like to get together with the people I'm going to panel up with. I don't like impromptu. I'm very much someone who likes to plan it out. And so I want to get together with the panel guests and just let them know I'll probably be interviewing them, asking them questions, things like that. But I do have confirmation for one. So look out for that this weekend, because we'll probably be doing an early show, because I know my late nights are hard for people. So also, someone needs to get the camera footage from all the businesses on the strip before it disappears. Yeah, and I don't even know how to go about doing that, besides maybe calling them up. I wonder if the bail bondsman across the street has that. I know, Paige, and that's what kills me too. Paige says Nancy hasn't been found, but family has been cleared, yet no one has been cleared in Sebastian's case. No one besides the green hoodie. No one besides the green hoodie. You know? Diana Bond. Hello, Diana. Diana says K and C should not be allowed near any children or their families. They seem to be enjoying Sebastian being not there, and it's like they are celebrating him not being here, in my opinion. I think so too, Diana. You know, what happened to all the trouble in paradise? All of a sudden, Sebastian's not there anymore and the problem is solved. That's not how relationships work. I'm here to tell you from experience. That's not how relationships work. If there's an issue, there's an issue. And the children aren't the problem ever. The parents need to look within and realize what their problem is, because it's not the child's problem. The child is innocent. The child is trying to grow up and grow and learn through life experiences. The parents should have their shit together. And if they don't, it's their fault, not the child. You know? And Blessing says, it's so frustrating. I wish Sumner County would start clearing people like Seth. I wish they would too, Bliss. I mean, I was calling for that. That was one call to action I was asking for, other than the main reason, which is find Sebastian. Right? 2 years is too long. Find Sebastian Rogers. Where is he? But on the flip side of that, I also think that they need to come out and be more transparent with the public. And that starts with clearing Seth. That starts with giving us an accurate timeline that we can actually work with. But they're never going to do that because they don't have that. Because they screwed up royally to begin with. You know? Hello, Kiki. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. So, yeah. It's just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yeah, I know, Brenda. Well, I think it might have been this one. Here, let me go ahead and I'll put, because I know we talked about this last night, but just give me 1 second. I just want to play this really quick again for everyone so we know where the shoes were, because I think the shoes are huge.
To his mom.
As soon as I walked in, like I remember walking up to the stairs, nobody saying anything. I opened the door, I walked in. The first thing I looked down at the left, and there was Sebastian's shoes. There was his old pair of tennis shoes, his new pair of tennis shoes that he just got, and the boots that I had just bought him. And it's like, well, all of his shoes are here. That's when I was like, why is his shoes over here? If he ran away, wouldn't he have shoes on? And I mean, it was just.
And what was her response to that?
She didn't respond to that at all. Neither did the law enforcement.
Yeah. She shared a story that as a younger boy, he walked through a pile of dirt, turned out to be a bed of fire ants, and he had a thing about always wearing his socks and shoes.
Would he ever leave barefoot? I know that's something that's perplexed some people. And even people who have children on the autism spectrum have been perplexed by that. Does that make any sense?
It doesn't. It does not make any sense. If he knew he was going to go out walking or anywhere in the yard or whatnot, he would put on socks and shoes. He had a horrible experience as a child with fire ants. He learned. It's always socks and shoes, or at least something on your feet to protect you from what's on the ground.
Can't think that a 15-year-old child would get up in the middle of the night and leave without his shoes.
I would think that most of those homes have some Ring doorbell cameras. I would just be shocked if there's not a trail of cameras.
There's more cameras in that neighborhood than there are in the fucking jail.
There's this runaway theory that they went with right away. If he did run away, we would see him walking out of a house, I would believe, somewhere. The fact that there's nothing would indicate that somebody took precautions to make sure that he wasn't on camera.
In February, it's cold. So for me, that says that someone has come and taken him, or someone else is involved. Someone knows something. And as easy as it is to be like, oh, that could never happen, like your bedroom is the safest place in the world. Well, no, Bedrooms are not the safest place in the world. I was taken from my bedroom. It can happen to anyone.
Yeah.
So when you consider what you just said,
All right. So I just want to pop in here, and I know I've said this before. I am not trying to discount what Elizabeth Smart went through. Never would I ever do that. I think that she is absolutely a survivor. She is strong. That girl made it through, and now she is helping other people. But I'm here to tell you that Elizabeth Smart's mother left one of the windows open. Her grandfather had just passed away. They came home that night from his funeral, and her mother was trying to get all of the kids ready. She comes from a huge family, guys, and her mother was fixing dinner and she burned the potatoes. And if you've ever burned potatoes, they stink up the whole house, right? So she undid one of the windows and was airing the house out, and then they ended up going to the funeral, and when they came back home they were all exhausted and she forgot to lock the window back. Now that is using logic, reason, and common sense. Katie and Chris both said that their home was completely locked. There were no windows, there were no doors that were left ajar. So it's a completely different situation, right? And also, Paige, the screen on the window was cut by the perpetrator, right? That sicko that took Elizabeth Smart. Yes. And again, this is a person who knew Elizabeth because they had done work on Elizabeth's house for her father and mother. So this is someone who knew Elizabeth very well and had access. And that's usually what it comes down to. So if we take that out of the equation, then who knows Sebastian even better than a perpetrator or someone who was working for someone's dad or in the house several times? Sebastian's mother. She was the last one with her son. Right? So I just need to point that out. But again, great work by 5D. Let me go ahead and take this off the stage, and I will drop 5D's link. Definitely go and check out their channel. They do great work for Sebastian, really work hard on getting out factual information, comparisons of what's been said, and all of that. And to the best of my knowledge, Ravioli, they reported Sebastian missing around 6:30 a.m. So, yeah, absolutely, Kiki. I would love to do a panel with you. Yeah, definitely. I think that would be great. Just let me know when and we'll schedule it. Um, yeah, burnt eggs, exactly. Yeah. I mean, burnt anything, really, because it just like stinks everything up. There's smoke, your alarm starts going off, the smoke detector starts going off and stuff. So, yeah, I mean, and she was stressed out that day. Her mother was, could you imagine? I mean, my heart goes out to Elizabeth Smart, her family. And like I said, I think she does wonderful work for victims and advocates. And I can see why she would say something like, your bedroom isn't the safest place. But I also think that we have to pull in logic, reason, and we need to focus on Sebastian's case individually. Because I think one major failure by law enforcement was that they didn't do that. Right? They were consulting and verifying from other cases that had nothing to do with Sebastian's case. Nothing whatsoever. Even the level of his autism was off. But that was because of what they were being told. So, no, she has no bearing on this case, though. So, yeah, I'm sorry for what she went through. Yeah, and we just have to really look at Sebastian's case on an individual level, So, oh, did you, Kiki? Oh, my goodness. Yeah, burnt popcorn. Yeah. Well, and ravioli, I believe that too. I mean, it does raise red flags to me a little bit, especially because they called the police before they called Seth, right? Because wouldn't they check with him and say, "Have you heard from Sebastian? Did he like tell you he was coming over, or, what's going on? I think they reported him a little bit too early, as if they knew that he was missing. I mean, that's what Chris and Katie have always given us, those vibes, that something, that they knew more, and they know what happened to Sebastian. They know where he is, so, and I do think that too. They trusted KP and CP too much, Kiki, you know. Cheryl says, yes, big difference. There were definitely signs of an intruder. If only we had something to go on besides the mother's BS story. I mean, I agree, Detroit. It's very out of sorts, right? It doesn't make any sense to any of us. All of us are sitting here like this. That's not jiving, right? So, yeah, it's unfortunate. So I want to show you guys this video, and this is going to be, um, Bullhorn Betty's footage of the police across from the demonstration. So let me just share this with you guys. Let me make sure you guys can see this and switch that window over really quick. All right, we got this, and here we go. I'm just
Me being a soldier.
We got an ad. All right, so this is going to be everyone standing out, and we're going to see the police officers come in from the left-hand side of the screen, right? And we have demonstrators out there with signs. We all made signs. All of them were, in my opinion, respectful. Some of them were voicing concerns for finding Sebastian, for locking Katie up, different things like that. But mostly we had signs of love and just an outpouring of support for Sebastian Rogers and in the effort to find him. So here we go. And here they are. You can see them pointing. So I see his, shoulder up, elbow out, pointing, right? And God only knows what he's saying. Okay, and right here, I want to point out this woman right here is going to wave to the officers, right? Because we were being friendly with the officers. We absolutely were. Okay, so here she is waving. Here they are going down the road there. Okay, wait a second. Let me see this part really quick here. All right. So are you guys talking about this part right here? Because I can kind of see him waving his arm up. But I thought he was doing a thumbs up because I saw him do that several times. So, yeah, I saw her wave Kiki, and I was like, oh, that was so nice that she waved at them, Yeah, I don't want to do regular or mental gymnastics. Witchy mama, exactly. I think sometimes killing someone with kindness, it really does. Kiki says, I think that ticked them off more than anything, the being nice part. Yeah, I mean, I agree. And killing somebody with kindness is worse than, matching their anger, in my opinion. So, but again, here we go with this. See, and I can't tell because it's so pixelated when I zoom in. But I would imagine that, people that were standing right here would have saw that. And like I said, I have some eyewitnesses that are coming up on the panel. I might even do an open mic that night to see if there was anybody else that would like to come up. So again, I see him coming over pointing here. And then there goes Seth. And then there's me over here, and I'm walking over just, I'm live streaming with you guys. So, grief author Corey Richens. All right. So, that was what I pulled in from BHB. I think so, Brenda. I want to say that she did. Yeah, and kindness is free. Kindness is free, Witchy. Yeah, because Brenda says, didn't BHB give the officers the leftover cake? That was the plan. Whether they wanted to take it or not, I don't know. I really don't. Maybe that home behind there has cameras. Yeah, I mean there's just so much down there that I would think that they would have, Thank you, Witchy. Yeah, that's in Hendersonville. Yep, ravioli. I'm so glad my hubby wasn't there. I know. I'm so glad I wasn't standing next to Jen on the first thing, because I would have said something and I would have been in trouble. But that's what they were trying to do. That was the goal. The goal was to instigate. The goal was to antagonize. I think so. See, that's what I said, Cinderella. That's what I was saying when I was live with Jen. I said, even if he didn't do the bird and he did a thumbs up, because I took offense to the thumbs up because of Sebastian. Because in how many pictures do we have Sebastian doing thumbs up? When he's happy, when he's excited, he does the thumbs up. As a matter of fact, I have a couple where he's doing thumbs up here. Oh, no, wait, that's not the one. Sorry. I thought I had one back here he was doing the thumbs up, and I guess I don't. But there's several pictures out there, guys, where he is doing a thumbs up because he's happy. He's, posing for the camera. He does a thumbs up even when he was little. And that compilation that I did with all the pictures that Katie and Seth had submitted or that we've seen in the public, and I did a compilation, like a slideshow of them. He was doing the thumbs up in many of those pictures, and that was kind of his thing, right? So when they did the thumbs up, it pissed me off. It pissed me off just as much as a bird, So, but I wish I would have saw that. I wish I would have got it on camera. And again, I'm gonna have to look back over too and see. So yeah, the picture with his teachers is a thumbs up. Yeah, Selena Dixon, thank you. Hey, NorCal So Gal, good to see you. So yeah, I mean, it's just unfortunate. It's just really unfortunate that they would ever do anything to instigate, and they were deliberately walking into where we were. They didn't have to walk anywhere near us, but they were choosing to do that. And sure, they were giving us dirty looks and they were ignoring what we were saying, but I think that that's better than what this officer did. I think this officer absolutely showed his ass, and it should never happen. They should hold themselves to a higher standard. All right, so guys, I'm going to move on to another case that we were covering, and this young lady was found. Now, this is going to be important because this young lady, Haley Busby, lost her life because of her being on the internet and being groomed by a perpetrator. And she willingly went with this person that she talked to for a year, right? So, yeah, absolutely instigating. Oh, yeah, definitely. Cinderella says, in my opinion, it makes them more childish than the victim ever was. I agree. I agree. I think Sebastian could have held himself better than that on his worst day. You know, they always like to talk about children on the spectrum that have, um, you know, issues with social and emotional dysregulation, like they say with Sebastian, that they're socially awkward. Well, that police officer was more than socially awkward. He engaged in direct and blatant misconduct, in my opinion. And I would like to see something happen so that he understands that that is wrong. I think that there needs to be some action taken. Okay, guys, so this is beautiful Haley Busby. This is a short documentary that I'd like to review, and it is courtesy of and full credit to 13 News. It's a special about the disappearance of Haley Busby, right? So here we go.
In January 2026, 17-year-old Haley Busby disappeared from her home in Fishers, Indiana. Her family called for help but got no answers for a month. Then, a horrific revelation.
Unfortunately, with the evidence we have today, she will not be coming home alive.
Police say a 39-year-old man groomed Haley for a year before taking her from her home in the middle of the night. After weeks of investigation, police found him in Columbus, Ohio.
Okay, guys, so he is being charged. So Haley Busby is from Indiana, but the charges are being carried out in Ohio because that's where he ultimately brought her. Right? So he did lure her out. He was speaking with her for a year. And yes, Kiki, we did cover that at the beginning of the show. They do not know who those two little beautiful girls are, but the medical examiner did say that they found out that those two girls are related. They are half sisters. So, I mean, a whole year, Brenda. So he's talking to her for a whole entire year, you know, grooming her, building trust with her, building rapport with her, and just to take her and do the unthinkable, you know. And Detroit, she's just a gorgeous young lady. I mean, I just don't even know what she saw in that scraggly ass, greasy MFer, you know.
We made contact with him in Ohio, and he admitted to picking Haley up at her home.
But Haley's light continues to shine. From classrooms to the Indiana State House, her memory lives on.
The world is a sadder place without you, Haley.
She was just an amazing person all around.
This special report is the story of a horrible crime and the fight to keep it from happening again. It's about remembering a girl gone far too soon. This is the disappearance of Haley Busby.
Okay, guys, and so with that, you know, this is Haley. These are different pictures. This one looks like a school picture. Just, you know, a gorgeous girl. Her light shines still. Her favorite color is pink. That's what they want to light up the night with, light up the area with, is pink for Haley. So here's kind of a little compilation of the pictures of her. You know, just a big, gorgeous smile. And here is the greasy, nasty creep who has a defense attorney that is willing to just go full on board to bat for him and protect this monster. All right.
Thanks for joining us for our streaming special on the disappearance of Haley Busby. I'm Scott Swan. Haley has been laid to rest, but the main suspect in her disappearance is now awaiting a federal trial. Ashton Hackman was there in a federal courthouse in Columbus, Ohio, as 39-year-old Tyler Thomas was indicted for what he allegedly did to Haley.
Okay, so Tyler Thomas is the man who they have federally charged. Now, again, I just want to point out, as it pertains to Sebastian Rogers' case or any of these cases, the FBI does become involved as soon as state lines are crossed. So because Haley was taken from her home in Indiana and brought to Ohio, the FBI sprung into action, and that's why he is being charged federally. I mean, he's creepy as hell, isn't he, Ravioli? I mean, just creepy as hell. Thank you guys for the pink hearts. Thank you so much, guys. She had her whole life in front of her. It's so sad. And I'd imagine that she'd have so many, young guys that would like to, date her. I don't know why she was talking to this guy, Kiki. It really breaks my heart, you know? I don't see how you could be a lawyer and take up for someone like that. I know there's more money in it though. Defense attorneys make bank. That's what's sad about the world that we live in. True crime channels like mine that focus on the facts, we have many of them out there. But the drama community, the crama community is who makes money, who has, a huge audience, right? If you stick to the facts, you're working for peanuts. But if you're a defense attorney and you're willing to take up for the evil in the world, then you're going to make buku bucks. I mean, the best adaptation of that is the movie called The Devil's Advocate with Keanu Reeves and I think it was Al Pacino. Yeah, Al Pacino was in that one. Yeah. So in the beginning of the movie, we have Keanu Reeves who is getting this pedophile off charges, and this little girl is on the stand saying what he did to her, and he's protecting Keanu Reeves is protecting the pedophile and gets him off. And so that's when he's brought to, I think it was New York or some big city, where he was offered this high-rise apartment, and he was, representing the scum of the earth, getting paid very well to do it. That's the world we live in. You could do the right thing and make peanuts, or you could do the wrong thing and live rich on earth. But I'm more worried about what happens to me after I leave this world than I am about, making money while I'm here. Because I think that we absolutely need to focus on the victims. And I can't change what people are going to want to do or what they're going to be interested in. All I can do is the best that I can do to advocate for the victims. So, but it just goes to show, and that's why they do it, Kiki. It was a great movie, and boy, at the end, it all came together now, didn't it? I'd rather work for peanuts and maintain my integrity. Exactly, Witchy. 100%. I love this community of like-minded folks who search for the truth. That's right. And we don't advocate for ugliness and evil, right? We expose that. And that's what's so important, is that we get the word out. So if people are aware of these things, because some of these things are completely unfathomable. They really are. Like, most people wouldn't believe it if you just told them this. Just even a story like Haley's, a story like Sebastian's, they might just think, oh my gosh, there's no way that can all happen. This person's a conspiracy driven person, right? But it doesn't translate when we see it in real time, when we see it playing out, and I would rather have the quality of people in here than the ones who are just here because they like drama, right? And they want like untruths and things like that. So yeah, 100%. I think that it just rings true in many situations. And it's unfortunate. It's for the kids. The victims' drama isn't going to do the victims any good. And it doesn't. It does not. Not at all. Not at all. Hello, Lisa Boo. Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Oh, thank you, Detroit. It's just the way things are, and it's the dichotomy between good and evil. It really is. And, I'm not here to say who's good and who's evil, right? We all are sinners, right? We all have the free will. We all can make our own decisions. But I think that it's important to recognize that there is this type of evil underbelly that exists that many people don't even know exists. They're not aware of it, So, yeah, and I mean, it's just one of those things where I think if you do the right thing, good things come back to you, right? I think that's how it works. What goes around comes around. But it's also heartbreaking to see what we're about to see. And you guys will understand once you see his defense attorney.
On February 10th, Tyler Thomas was charged federally here in Columbus, Ohio. He's not facing charges for Haley Busby's death, but we are learning new information about the communication between Thomas and Busby and past previous meetups between the two. Thomas is charged with sexual exploitation of a minor and travel in interstate commerce with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct. Police believe he took Busby to his home in Columbus and a short-term rental in Hocking County, Ohio, claims that Thomas denies. Prosecutors allege the two were communicating online for more than a year. Thomas allegedly told police he met Haley while playing online video games like Roblox and League of Legends. He also allegedly said they would communicate on Discord and a secure chat app known as Session. Prosecutors now, they allege Thomas traveled 2 other times to visit Busby in Indiana, once in June, another time in July, despite.
Okay, guys, so they had met each other in June and July. So again, he's building trust. He didn't take her the first time he met her. This is a calculated and cold individual that would do this to this young woman. He's very patient. I think that needs to be identified, right? And so I just want to go back and see if we can't read some of this, because I know they redact it and whatnot, but I wanted to go back and see this. So, offense description: sexual exploitation of a minor, travel in interstate commerce with intent to engage in illicit sexual conduct, right? So they could see from the communications, obviously, that this man had the full intent to engage this young woman into activities, illicit sexual activities, trafficking, interstate commerce. That means he was being paid, right? So he sold this young woman. And he brought her to an app called Sessions. Have you guys ever heard of that? Because I never have heard of that. If someone told me, let's go talk on Sessions, I'd be like, no, thanks. I have enough apps on my phone. Takes up a lot of memory, sir. You know? But, oh yeah, he's a grade A groomer, right? Grade A. Textbook grooming techniques, right? These criminals are not original. They are not original. It's textbook, just like Chris Proudfoot and his narcissism, in my opinion, right? So these are the charges.
In illicit sexual conduct.
All right, so decided on January 5th, 2026, that Thomas confirmed to the Columbus PD that the reservation for the Airbnb was made on January 4th, 2026. Thomas stated that MV1 did not know about the Airbnb and that it was for him, since he already knew that it was like a crime to help someone run away, right? So he was telling Haley that he was going to help her run away, apparently, right? From what we know. Hello, Scranton. Good to see you. Right? And so he's saying that he just assisted her running away, that he had nothing to do with her murder. That remains to be seen. Thomas denied hurting or killing MV1, which would be our victim, Haley. However, when Columbus PD asked, and I'm just going to mute this up for a second so we can go over it. Okay, so it does not show more. I wish they would be transparent. All right, so it says, I, the complainant in this case, state that the following is true to the best of my knowledge and behalf. On or about the date of January 6th to 7th in the county of Franklin and Hocking, in the Southern District of Ohio, the defendant violated the sexual exploitation of a minor, travel in interstate commerce with intent to engage in illicit sexual content. right? The criminal complaint is based on the facts. See the attached affidavit. So they have a whole affidavit attached explaining this. Now, this is from Snapchat, right? Because I do recognize this. All right, so she does a laughing, crying emoji. What time earlier works best? Usually late morning or early afternoon if I'm not at the gym. If neither parents are home, I can probably call like 5, right? And then this is coming from his phone. So he is me, and Haley is the one that does not have a description next to her, right? So the guy tells her, I can't even remember how long ago it was when I told you my name and age. Haha. Really? OMG, between OMG, by the way, she says, I've like low-key forgotten your exact age. Right? He was in his late 30s. I believe he was 38 or 39. I have your birth date in my calendar, though, LOL. Or at least I did. So he says to her, let's redo it. And then he says, on the other app, LOL, I'm going to jump over. So he's pulling her from app to app in order to probably evade a text thread that continues on and on in case law enforcement ever needed it. In this case, they're moving from Snapchat, which erases messages after they're seen, to another app called Sessions. But they were talking on multiple social media platforms like Discord as well was mentioned. So, I mean, this is what they do. This is the pattern, and this is what we need to identify. And we always need to keep this in mind because this is a pattern here. This is definitely a pattern. All right. So, confirm that he understood the waiver portion. Thomas stated that he knew Haley and that they had been playing video games such as Roblox, League of Legends for over a year. And he also reiterated that he and Haley communicated on Discord. Columbus Police Department asked Thomas when Haley would turn 18, to which Thomas responded, I thought, yeah, he's probably going to say, I thought she was 18. Unbelievable. And what's up with these nasty predators who just wait and they're like lurking and creeping until a young lady turns 18? How disgusting. How disgusting. It reminds me of Don Wells. Hello, my PTSD brain fueled by ADHD. Good to see you. Unbelievable.
League of Legends. He also allegedly said they would communicate on Discord and a secure chat app known as Session. Prosecutors now, they allege Thomas traveled 2 other times to visit Busby in Indiana, once in June, another time in July. Despite all of that evidence revealed today, Thomas's attorney says they aren't giving up.
We're going to defend it. We're going to defend it vigorously. We're going to deal with the charges straight up, and we'll deal with professional and capable prosecutors, whether it's in state court or federal. So we're used to both venues and jurisdictions.
Thomas's attorney said any charges tied to Haley.
You guys see that? That's the devil's advocate right there. Devil's advocate. Oh, we'll go at any venue, anytime, any place, anywhere. What a piece of crap. And who is paying for this? Is this piece of crap paying for his defense attorney? Because he seems like a shark. Let's just watch that back again.
Once in June, another time in July. Despite all of that evidence revealed today, Thomas's attorney says they aren't giving up.
We're going to defend it. We're going to defend it vigorously. We're going to deal with the charges straight up, and we'll deal with professional and capable prosecutors, whether it's in state court or federal. So we're used to both venues and jurisdictions.
Thomas's attorney said any charges tied to Haley Busby's death could come from the federal level. And after the hearing today on February 10th, Thomas will be moved to a different facility from the Franklin County Jail here in Ohio. As of this taping, that facility remains to be said.
Ashton, thanks so much. So as he mentioned in his story, all of this started long before Haley went missing. In fact, the suspect said they were talking for more than a year. It all began online. According to the court documents, Haley met the suspect while playing games there. He mentioned two, Roblox and League of Legends by name. But the conversation didn't stay in the games. Tyler Thomas spoke on Discord, where investigators allegedly found a disturbing and violent conversation with a different teen.
Okay, so they found found more conversations, and right, this is not surprising in the slightest to probably any of us here, especially, right? Because we know that these people aren't just, oh, this is the first and only time that's ever going to happen and they made a mistake. There is none of that. This is calculated, this is premeditated, this is absolutely malicious, right? So, hello, Nani McPoppins, good to see you. So, I want to read this back again. I'm sorry, I know it's going to take us a little while to get through this video, but I think it's important to stop and read some of this in order for us to get a better idea.
By name. But the conversation didn't stay in the games. Tyler Thomas spoke on Discord, where
all right, so this is where he spoke on Discord, right? So it's going to be labeled for Thomas, and then the minor child is kept confidential, as they should be, as being the victim and a minor child. So we have Thomas, who is saying, I was wondering how I could get away with it because she would definitely tell. Tell what? Get away with what? You guilty son of a bitch. The minor says, oh, I don't know. Look at the way this child is talking. This reminds me of how I used to talk in text messages when I was a teenager or a young person, right? Probably more so middle school aged person. Okay, I don't know, or I don't know, right? I used to say, so, I love you so, with all the O's, much, whatever, and that's how we can identify that this is a minor child without it saying it's a minor child, right? That they're using this type of language, this verbiage, the way that they're speaking back to this adult, this grown-ass man who's almost 40 years old, messing with little children and talking to them on Discords. There should be age limits, restrictions, and requirements for children to get onto a Discord, especially one where adults can have access to them. Because some people might say, well, why would a kid need to be on Discord anyway? I personally wouldn't allow for it. I personally would never allow for it. But then again, kids get away with these things, and you have to watch over them constantly because they're going to sneak around, right? We've all done it. I mean, none of us are perfect little angels that listen to their parents 24/7, right? Especially not this one right here. Okay. So, you do have to be hyper vigilant and, a helicopter parent nowadays, because even if you say, no, you're not allowed to be on that, your child could download it and hide it somewhere, or, they could have it on a separate device. You just don't know, right? Kids are super tech savvy. They're absolutely intelligent. If they're trying to get away with something, they can. And we can't necessarily blame it on the parents, but these companies should never allow for online forums to exist where children and adults have conversations. Haven't they ever heard of stranger danger? My goodness. So, I mean, this is all preventable in my opinion. So this cretin Thomas, he says, I was wondering how I can get away with it because she would definitely tell. The minor child says, oh, I don't know. Thomas says, keep it locked in the basement, ? The minor child says, I don't know. I don't know the girl. right? So you can tell this child's uncomfortable. Thomas says, I guess I'll be a good man for the time being. And then he says, and ask how much you've been craving, and ask how much you've been carving yourself, right? And then the minor child says, not a lot, with all these T's. And then Thomas says, but you'd look so good covered in red, right? So what do you all think they're talking about? Because without more context, I'm just going to say that this child was cutting themselves and self-mutilating, and that's what they're referring to. And possibly sending pictures to the sadistic monster. Thank you. Thank you, Nani. Thank you very, very much. And what's up with the My Little Pony? Because, Detroit was talking about that too. So let me read Detroit's as well. Let's see. Detroit says, my granddaughter got on some website when she was about 10 and she was watching My Little Pony videos. She came to my son and said, Daddy, I think this is really bad. And come to find out, it was a groomer. I mean, who would have thought on a My Little Pony video? I mean, all little girls like that. We all loved them. Our daughters, our kids, our grandkids love them, right? Website called My Little Pony. It was so sick what she saw. My son flipped out. I bet I would have went absolutely ballistic. My PTSD brain says, Detroit, my daughter had a similar situation with My Little Pony around 7 years old. I think it was on YouTube, and she's 17 now. They did the big crackdown. I had no idea. Luckily she usually was watched, and you guys watched it together. Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing. They sneak these things in to corrupt our children, and so it's normalizing it to them. They don't see any problem with it, Yeah, I remember passing notes. Exactly. My PTSD. Exactly. Right. Us Gen Xers grew up, no internet, cell phone. We had a house phone with a long disc. Yeah, big long cord. Yep, exactly. Chi. Yeah. Right. No, I mean, and that's the thing. I mean, there's so many apps out there, like with the Discord. It's crazy. It's crazy. And if we don't know about these things as parents, the kids can just download them on there and we could, skip over it, not know what that is. It's almost like you have to click into every single app they have and make sure they don't have anything that can be dangerous for them. But I mean, how many people think a My Little Pony would be a dangerous source for a child? I mean, we all grew up with My Little Pony. They've been around forever. And that's how they disguise and hurt children, in my opinion. And it's absolutely running rampant in our society.
Investigators allegedly found a disturbing and violent conversation with a different teen. He also used Snapchat. This screenshot contained in court documents shows Thomas chatting on Snapchat and then saying to switch to the other app. That app may have been Session, an encrypted chat program. Then investigators believe things came to the real world. On June 2nd, 2025, roughly 6 months after they met, according to Thomas's timeline, credit card records put him at the restaurant where Haley was working. A month later, cell phone records show Thomas made a second trip to Central Indiana. His phone had a photo that allegedly showed Haley with him in a car. They think it may have been the same one he used to abduct Haley from her home. It happened shortly after 3 a.m. on January 6th. Neighbors of the Busbys woke up to their dogs barking. Security cameras showed a dark vehicle moving through the neighborhood and Haley's phone disconnected from the family Wi-Fi. Police used license plate readers to track the vehicle and identify the woman who owned it. She told investigators she was in Florida the night Haley went missing, but that Thomas may have been driving it. She also gave them his phone number. Police used that phone number to track Thomas's movements. They showed he left Columbus, Ohio the night Haley went missing and traveled here to central Indiana. Then he went back to Columbus before driving down to an Airbnb in Hocking County, Ohio. Finally, on January 7th, investigators say phone records show Thomas going to the North Country Trailhead in the Wayne National Forest. He stayed in that area for almost 5 hours. 2 weeks later, he would lead investigators back to that spot. That's where they would find Haley's remains. Later that same day, Fisher's police would announce that.
Okay, guys, so we do see here, and I'm just going to kind of go back just a tiny bit to read what's being said here. So just bear with me so we can see that. Okay, so this is North County Trailhead. So until approximately 9:25 a.m. on January 7th, 2026, at which time it was traveled to an area northeast of Logan, Ohio, near the North County Trailhead. The phone remained in that location until approximately 2:15 p.m. when it began to travel back towards Columbus, Ohio. So this is about where Haley's body was found. And obviously they were there for a long period of time. So on February 1st, 2026, Thomas was picked up from Franklin County Corrections Facility by Franklin County Sheriff's Department, Columbus PD, and the FBI, and transported to North County Trailhead in Wayne National Forest. Thomas's attorney followed Thomas and law enforcement in separate vehicle from Columbus to the trailhead. Upon arrival, Thomas, his attorney, and the transporting officers met with personnel from PCSO, Perry County's prosecutor's office, U.S. Forest Service, and FBI. The parties all walked to the location northeast of the trailhead where Thomas pointed out Haley's body and where it was buried. Right? Absolutely so sad. And I just want to say excellent police work by all of these offices working together to find Haley, to find out what happened to her. Forensic evidence, digital evidence helped tremendously to bring justice to Haley. Oh, here, let me put this on there.
Investigators back to that spot. That's where they would find Haley's remains. Later that same day, Fisher's police would announce that they believed Haley was dead and that a person of interest was in custody. That was Sunday, February 1st. By Monday, February 2nd, Tyler Thomas made his first appearance in Franklin County Court in Ohio on charges related to Haley's disappearance. Lacey Crisp was there in the courtroom as Thomas faced a judge for the first time.
Knowing that Thomas had been in contact with Haley, on January 21st, Columbus police searched this home where Thomas had been staying to find any clues about where Haley could be. Wrapped in an anti-suicide vest, murder suspect Tyler Thomas closed his eyes as the magistrate read the charges against him.
Pandering, sexual-oriented material involving a minor.
Knowing there's likely more to come.
Our client said, you take whatever steps are necessary to bring closure to this aspect of the case.
Thomas's defense attorney, Sam Szymanski.
All right, so here's Sam Szymanski, the devil's advocate, sitting over here talking about how this guy is some kind of a fucking hero. No, he's not. He groomed this child for over a year and a half. And now he's saying that he just wanted to help find Haley. And guys, if they end up cutting this guy a deal or whatever, we come to find that out. I'm grateful to have the closure for the family, right, to find Haley. But this guy is like trying to act like he had nothing to do with her murder. And I believe that he had everything to do with it. And I agree. Nani says, sadly, we're learning that the very things that are supposed to be child-friendly have been created, written, developed, and intended and overall controlled by some extremely evil and sick-minded elites. Boom, Nani. That is exactly it. That's the big picture here. They're not worried about protecting the children. They're worried about getting around the parents who want to protect the children, right? Because you do, like Bliss said, you have to be like an investigator. You have to be constantly watching, because these people will try to get to the kids no matter which way they slice it. They're trying to get to these children and corrupt them or take them and hurt them. Detroit says they need to do more to protect the kids. They should be some kind of an alert for that kind of activity. It's sickening. I agree. I think that we need more task forces, excuse me, who are looking into this. That's why I really appreciate what Grady Judd does here in Florida, because he watches that social media like a hawk, and he has people watching that, and he busts those fuckers all the time. And thank God for him. And he's right there watching, because he knows that's the source, right? That's how they're getting to these children. Over and over and over again, we see it, you know? And that's true, Lisa says, when people use go-rounds to hide who they really are and what they're really doing, it says more about their true self, in my opinion. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And thank you, Heather Marie, for being here. Good to see you. So I think more parents will become aware and vigilant about these things. We have to, Ravioli. We just have to. You know, I mean, even myself, who doesn't have a little person, my daughter's grown. I still worry about, you know, people trying to gain trust of you know, another person, because some people don't just focus on kids. They're out there to hurt anybody. You know, it's just a sick world that we live in. We always have to have our guard up. And then we're going to have these people right here. I mean, tell me that this woman doesn't look possessed. Okay? Just saying.
Explained his client turned himself in and helped law enforcement return Haley's remains to her parents. He was adamant Thomas will be pleading not guilty to any murder charges.
There's a difference between being responsible for certain acts of which one is not proud, and also distinguishing from taking another's life.
After that hearing, search warrants were unsealed, detailing that deleted nude pictures found in Thomas's phone of Haley matched furniture and decor inside this Columbus house. Cell phone records placed Thomas at Haley's house, the Columbus house, Logan Airbnb, and at Wayne National Forest in Perry County, Ohio. 8 days after that hearing, those charges were dropped and the new federal charges were filed, painting a broader picture that Thomas was talking to more underage girls than just Haley. During the brief hearing in federal court, Thomas sat emotionless, hair disheveled, leaning back in his seat as Szymanski waived the preliminary and detention hearings. The very next day, the FBI searched the Columbus house looking for more evidence for more possible charges against the man who had no prior criminal record. And Thomas is being held in federal custody without bond. Lacey Crisp, back to you.
Lacey, thank you so much. Haley's disappearance has also highlighted the danger online. Millions of kids navigate the internet safely every day, but some apps are more dangerous than others. Bartholomew County Deputy Prosecutor Christina Karabov told our Logan Gay, if your child is using an encrypted app on their phone, that's the first red flag parents should notice.
I agree with that. I agree with the encrypted apps being, you know, far more dangerous, because that's why they're going through that encrypted app is in order to conceal what they're doing, right? But I would not let my guard down on any single app that's out there. I just wouldn't. I just would never, ever let my guard down, because once they think that we're looking over here, they're going to go over here and do their dirt here, right? So we have to make sure that children are aware that you just can't talk to people that you don't know on here, because they could have bad intentions, and most of them do. You know, so I mean, I would just have to respectfully disagree here and say keep your guard up for all of it, because even NorCal, that's right, internet dating is absolutely something to think about, right? Because, you know, you're just trying to go on there and meet people because you're busy, right? And you work, and, you know, and then you get home and it's hard to meet people. You know, sometimes people don't like to go out like to a bar or social setting. Some people will say meet a nice person at church, and then I've seen people meet nice people at church, so they thought, and it turned out to be, someone who wasn't nice at all. Again, preying on innocent people. And that's the key here. They're preying on innocent people, unsuspecting people. And so there isn't really a safe place. I hate to say it. We just have to keep our wits about ourselves.
It doesn't matter how old you are. Most people want some level of privacy on their phones. But how much is too much? And when does privacy start to become dangerous?
All the offender's really looking for at first, though, is just a place to chat one-on-one with the child where they think a parent isn't necessarily looking over the child's shoulder.
Court documents show 39-year-old Tyler Thomas told detectives he used the Session app to plan Busby's runaway attempt and transportation. Christina Carabove with the Bartholomew County Prosecutor's Office says cases like this are not unusual.
The offender convinces the child to go to another platform. So they might meet in a game and say, hey, let's go chat over in Instagram or in Snapchat or Kik or Session.
Carabove says parents should know what apps their kids are using, especially encrypted ones.
And guys, I knew about every single one of these apps except for Session. And that one's a new one. Sessions, whatever. Sounds like something that deletes after you do a session, right? A session is something that begins, completes, and then, the next session is the next session. So I'm just guessing here that's probably something, and especially, I hate to say little girls, but I mean little boys too. We absolutely need to be more vigilant and understanding and know when these apps are coming out. That should be something that the federal government oversees. What would it be? I'm sorry, the FDA and that sort of thing. Why are they approving these apps to be out there in the first place? Especially when we have time and time again where people are doing nefarious activities on these apps and they're encrypted. We really need more oversight.
The parent, to me, that's a red flag. Why does my child have this app? And then it's time for me to sit down and have a conversation with my child about who showed you this app. What are you communicating?
Court documents say Thomas told detectives that Session requires a specific code or string of numbers to access or recover account data. He said deleting this code would prevent police from seeing the messages.
Once the communication becomes encrypted end to end, law enforcement can't, or the technology companies can't see what's going on in that chat the way that they can on other applications.
Okay, guys, so that's the key right there. So when the chat becomes encrypted end to end, then it cannot be accessed by anyone. It's completely private and encrypted. So there's probably tons of evidence and correspondence from this perpetrator to Haley that they cannot recover. I mean, none of us would want that for our children. So if you have kids, go on their phone and yeah, have a conversation, but delete that shit off their phone, please, because there's nothing good that can come of that. Nothing good that can come of that. So I would just urge parents to look on their children's phone and see if they have that app on their phone, because that is very dangerous, in my opinion, that police can't even retrieve this information. Unbelievable.
Above says Haley's story shows the danger isn't always outside your home. Sometimes it's right at your fingertips.
I think for some parents, they think this would never be my child. And let Haley's family remind you that it could be your child, because she is everyone's child right now.
That was Logan Gay reporting. We'll hear more from Logan in a little bit about a class that Haley's school district put on to keep children safe online. But Thomas didn't meet Haley on a chat app. He actually met her on a gaming app. He mentioned Roblox and League of Legends by name, according to court records. Now, we reached out to the companies behind both of those games. Roblox acknowledges Busby and Thomas used their platform, though we didn't hear back from League of Legends' parent company, Riot Games. As you know, gaming is a big part of some kids.
Okay, guys, the parent company is Riot Games for League of Nations. I mean, here we are thinking that it's okay for our children to play a game online. Why not? I play games online. But this is the way the predators are getting into being able to speak to these children and then pulling them over to these encrypted sites and apps, right? So, big red flags all around. Paige, I think that's a fantastic idea. They should make people scan their IDs to get into the apps, right? They put the scanners on the back so they can easily card us for cigarettes, booze, whatever, so they could easily identify us. So why not do that to protect the children? I think that's a fantastic idea. I think that's a solution to a major problem, because the only way the children can do that maybe is if they stole their parents' ID and scanned it. I mean, there's ways around it, but look, it detours the child from being able to do it, right? It really does. Chi says, I've said it before. My son had, or my son is 22, had 5 Discord, Snapchats, Twitch, and a streaming app on his school Chromebook. Thank God the school has a boot to look at the social media on it, and the end of the day has to turn it in. I mean, it's something that the kids don't think about, but they absolutely, or there's absolutely ways that we can monitor and watch over what they're doing. So you're giving them the freedom to be able to make decisions and make mistakes, but you're also monitoring their activity so you can identify when they're doing that and nip it in the bud, right? Because that way you can explain to them that this is not safe. So um I think that that's the best way to do it, is to make sure that we put safeguards in order for the children not to be able to sneak around, because kids are going to sneak around. We all done it. Um, it's just something simple that can save lives. Absolutely, Paige. Yeah. And two, if the predator has to scan their ID to get in there, then they have all their personal information now, don't they? So it really could double as a protective measure, and also something that can help law enforcement identify who they're dealing with. Army Vet, good to see you, hon. Army Vet says the FBI cyber programs get involved with child safety on gaming platforms like Roblox for one core reason. Violent online networks began actively targeting kids inside games. I mean, we see it right here, don't we? It's just right here. And this is an older kid we're talking about that, had more wherewithal. And she even dipped her toe in the water, right? She said, come meet me at my work, probably. Now, I don't know what actually transpired, but maybe she thought this man was attractive, right? And she was talking to him for a while. And then she says, why don't you meet me at my work, right? Because it's public, it's safe. She knows everybody knows her, right? So she was taking the proper precautions, but it still wasn't good enough. And that's what's heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. Army Vet also says extremist groups, including the 764 network and others, are using Roblox, Minecraft, and Call of Duty to reach children, recruit them, or coerce them into harmful acts. Unbelievable. And I wonder about Devlin Tate, and you give me a blue heart, and I'm wondering about Devlin Tate when it comes to this very, I mean, it's just a glaring fact, right? Because when you're online, you are so vulnerable to every weirdo in the vicinity, and they need to hold them accountable. That's the only way that they're going to combat some of this, Switchy, is if they think that it's going to fall back on them, they will have to put safety measures in place, or they're going to have the pantsuit off of them, as they should. And they need to hold those gaming companies accountable if fake IDs are used as well. I agree. Brenda says, I had an app called an app called Bark that notified me if my daughter was accessing anything potentially dangerous. It was great. Okay, named Bark. Thank you, Brenda. So yeah, there you go, guys. I mean, that's something that could help And I appreciate that recommendation, because we really do need to unite as responsible adults to combat some of this, because, poor Haley did not deserve this at all.
Social lives. According to the Pew Research Center, 85% of American teens play video games. 72% of them say they do it to spend time with others. Jenny Runovich talked with experts to find out how kids can play games safely and the warning signs if something goes wrong.
After this kind of tragedy, it's so tempting for parents to say, just shut it all off. But that's not realistic. As adults, we have a bit of a digital divide. Kids now spend a ton of time online. That's how they socialize.
However, you can help make it safer. Parents can use online filters, check security settings, and ask kids regularly, what apps are you using, what games, what are the conversations, who's on there? Safety is a big push for Haley Busby's family, too. They're advocating for Haley's Law, part of which would require predator and online grooming education in Indiana schools. The petition now has well over 50,000 signatures. Experts say predators do gravitate toward online games and chats, looking to groom, then exploit kids.
Use a lot of time. They will invest a lot of time to get to know the child because they want to get to know kind of where their vulnerabilities are. What kind of oversight does this kid have at home? They need to know that, is this going to be someone that I can manipulate and get away with it? This can happen to anyone. It doesn't matter how many rules you have in place for your kids. This can happen to anyone.
That's why looking for red flags for teenagers is so important too. If chats get too uncomfortable, get too personal, tell a trusted adult. Jenny Runovich, 13 News.
Haley's family is calling on lawmakers.
All right, so before we get into what Haley's family is doing and calling on lawmakers to pass, which I agree with everything they're doing, my heart goes out to her family. I would just say, let's just eliminate this altogether. Because I'm here to tell you that these chats are not worth it for the kids. They need to be chatting with their friends outside. They need to be riding their bikes. They need to be out there, going to the park. They don't need to be on these apps chatting with anybody, in my opinion. Because this is what happens. If the chats get uncomfortable, how about don't do the chat at all? That's my opinion. It might be unpopular, but I think that would eliminate so much. Okay, so this is what Haley's family's doing, right, guys?
To make the internet safer for all children.
The overwhelming support we have received from all corners of this state is not only a testament to our beautiful daughter, Haley, but also a powerful cry for action.
We'll look at their push to get Haley's Law passed and how it's already seeing results. Plus,
it just feels like this has just been such a violation of the community, like of our safety, of what we feel is real.
Haley School District holds classes to teach parents lessons about internet safety as those changes work their way through the Indiana State House. And a final farewell.
I want you to know this wasn't your fault. And today I'm here to show you that you were never alone and you never will be.
We'll take you inside Haley's celebration of life as our special report continues. Welcome back. The mayor of Fishers, Indiana, where Haley Busby lived, declared February Go Pink for Haley Month. The entire city now features ribbons and lights in Haley's favorite color. The mayor told us he wanted the Busby family to see their community is standing with them. The day police announced Haley was probably dead, her family, with the help of organizer Megan Tomlinson, started a petition to change laws here in Indiana and protect other Hoosier kids. As of today, more than 100,000 people have signed that petition calling for Haley's Law. Our Indiana State House reporter Emily Longnecker has found lawmakers are already working to make that happen.
Well, Scott, it's rare to find anything here at the Indiana State House that gets really instant bipartisan support, but that is exactly what has happened here with this push. Within a week of the Haley's Law petition being posted online, her parents were speaking directly with lawmakers here at the Indiana State House. Some of those lawmakers wept when they heard her parents' testimony.
We are in the midst of the greatest crisis of our time. We are losing the fight to protect our children. The internet and social media are the devil's and predators' playgrounds. And it's on this front that we must fight.
That was Bo Busby trying to convince lawmakers to add restrictions on social media access for kids. The restrictions amended onto Senate Bill 199. Those restrictions would mean anyone 16 years old or younger would need to have verified parental permission to open up a social media account. After their testimony, the Busbys joined Indiana House Speaker Todd Houston as he put forward another amendment featuring part of Haley's law.
And we're also looking at how we can bolster Indiana's alert system to make sure a situation like this triggers an alert in the future.
And both of those amended bills had already passed in their original chambers. So House Bill 1303 with the alert expansion amendment was actually in a Senate committee, and that committee passed the amendment with unanimous support. It now heads to the full Senate for a vote. Senate Bill 199 was in the House Education Committee. That's the bill with the social media restrictions. The vote on that was much closer, narrowly passing on a 7-4 vote. It now moves on to the full House for a vote. Scott?
All right, guys, so it is moving to the House for a vote, right? So they are trying to pass the better alert systems. And I think that's huge. I mean, I heard this story from Shauna, and I was grateful to hear about it, but I did not get an Amber Alert on my phone. I didn't get no type of alert. I didn't know about Haley's story until Shauna told me about it, you know? And Chuchi says, I put Bark phone information in Discord if you're interested for younger ones. Thank you, Chuchi, for adding that to the Discord. I really appreciate it. We need to look out for each other, guys, as moms, as grandmas, as, you know, I don't care how old our kids are, right? We need to look out for each other. And that sparks a conversation that maybe we wouldn't have had with our children. It's so important to make them aware of these things. And it's not to scare them. It's not to make them distrust everyone in the world, but it's to guard themselves and to let them know that these things happen. Nani McPoppin says, predators will even use kids in their same age group to lure in other kids for their wicked intentions. You can't trust anything online where kids are concerned. Scares the hell out of this grandma. I know, Nani, it does me too. It does me too, because it really is scary how they just pray and they get in where they fit in, right? And it's like they'll do anything to mask themselves and even be so patient as to wait a whole year or more. He said over a year. So it could be a year and a half, could almost be 2 years, who knows, to have met this girl. He took the time, the money, the effort, the initiative to go meet her twice before he abducted her, right? Before he helped her, quote unquote, run away. These people are preying on these children. You know, when we're younger, and especially as girls, I can account for that because I am a female, right? But, you know, when you're younger, you're a little bit more dramatic in life, you know, everything, something could happen at school, you know, and it's just the end of the world, or your parents could tell you no, and you're like, oh my God, they're horrible, you know, and they can pick up on that. And if the child is in a vulnerable position and they're upset about something, this person's going to try to make them feel better about it and feel good about themselves. And that's exactly how they get in, right? Into their good graces, into their trust. And ultimately they can turn them against their parents, right? I think 16 is still too young. I thought the same thing, Detroit. Exactly. 16 is too young. Oh, Cece, thank you. Cece says Bark does not work that great with Apple. Well, that doesn't surprise me because Apple products are not compatible with Android. They're only compatible with themselves. You know, so that's the double-edged sword with Apple products. So Hello, Nano. Good to see you. Oh, so good to see you, Nano. Thank you for being here. So yeah, I think it needs to be 18 and over. Detroit, I'm right there with you.
Emily, thanks so much. The Speaker of the House isn't the only Indiana leader coming out in support of changing laws in our state. Governor Mike Braun, along with Indiana State Police Superintendent Anthony Scott, sat down with our Dustin Grove to talk about what needs to change. We want you to hear this part of their conversation.
Thank you both for being here.
Good to be here.
Governor, I'll start with you. What goes through your mind when you hear those comments from Mr. Busby and others who say something more needs to be done to protect our kids?
So the Busbys were in my office yesterday and up to probably 15 minutes. And when they described, in their own tragic case, what happened, there were no real warning signs. It's technology that enables the predator, the perpetrator, to do things that most parents aren't going to see. And in this case, if he had not done some work in his own neighborhood to try to push the investigation in Fishers, and it was a camera on a block or so away that actually started the whole process to end up, getting the trail started and actually finding how this came down. So my big concern is big tech is profiting from this. Their algorithms allow it. If anything we try to do with a sophisticated technology that's crafted in a way that allows it, they need to be responsible to fix it. They're protected by a strange liability clause. This is an example of where anything we do, state by state, is still going to probably not prevent it completely when you've got an accommodating technology that the kids are going to know a lot more about it than the parents, and the people that know the most about it, probably the predator.
You can find Dustin's entire interview with the governor on demand over on WTHR+. The changes the Busbys are calling for also have the support from the woman responsible for the Amber Alert system. She told our Jenna Webster it's time for Indiana to expand the rules.
Across Haley Busby's hometown, pink ribbons highlight what some feel is a gap in the missing persons alert system.
We need to do more.
Carolyn Alvey helped create the Amber Alert system in 1996. It's only issued for a child who police believe was abducted and in imminent danger of serious injury or death. There also has to be enough descriptive information about the victim and the abduction.
It's time for state of Indiana to update that based on where we are with technology. The Amber Alert 30 years ago, we didn't have any of that. We didn't even consider what that technology could do in terms of the criteria for law enforcement.
Alvey says Haley's disappearance is highlighting it.
Okay, guys, really quick, I just want to pop back in and say that even the woman who created this Amber Alert system is saying that the criteria is an important factor and that it was kind of an afterthought, right? That they didn't realize what they could do with this system until it's been in place for a while, right? So we need some changes made. We need awareness. When there's a child missing, when there's a missing person, we need that information out there as soon as possible. Time is of the essence. What if they were able to find Haley before she met her demise? I mean, that would have been a success story. That would have been the Amber Alert working in the way that it was intended on working. And we need to tweak these systems as we go along, right? Sometimes it's like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? But in the same way, there are issues within the Amber Alert criteria, the system, etc. And we need changes. We need to update, right? We always need to update. Hello, Deanna. Thank you for being here. Oh, I hope you're feeling better. Oh, and thank you for renewing your membership. Thanks, Deanna. Welcome to the Dragon Tribe, even though you're already a dragon. Yeah, the dark web is a big one. It is a big one. And it's just so important for us to always be mindful of the way technology changes and update our our systems, and the Amber Alert is long overdue for an update, even though I'm grateful to have what we have.
Need to expand the criteria for an Amber Alert, not create a whole new system like the Pink Alert.
It's not that rigid in other states across the country.
The guidelines apply nationwide, but she says some state agencies have more flexibility than Indiana. Take where Alfie lives in Texas, which can issue Amber Alerts even if the criteria isn't fully verified.
Teenagers can't always make those decisions, right? So as adults, we need to make sure we're doing everything to protect them. So the police, in their investigative work, they uncovered that some things that were happening, that they knew that Haley was probably in jeopardy, but they still couldn't issue, by law, they still could not issue the Amber Alert. And that's what we need to change.
30 years after the Amber Alert was created.
Okay, guys, because it's a 30-year-old Amber Alert, right? So 30 years it's been in place. Thank God for it, right? Thank this woman who's up here talking about this. But she can see the need for this, right? And all we have to do is add another alert, a pink alert. I don't care what color it is, right? I'm glad to do it in honor of Haley. She's a beautiful young lady and she deserves to be honored in that way. But I don't care what color, I don't care what they need to do. I want to see that alert come through on my phone. And I want to see when I can be on the lookout for a child who is endangered. They knew that Haley was in danger, guys. They knew that. They knew it. And yet no Amber Alert went out because didn't quite match the criteria needed. And that's a failure, you know? And I'm not blaming anyone. I'm just saying we need to do better. We need to do better because there shouldn't have to be a sacrifice like Haley's life in order for us to do better. We just have to value the life of every human being on this planet. That's where it starts. No matter how old they are, and especially when we know they're in danger, alert, 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 alert.
Created. Haley's case could be the one to change it.
Haley's life meant something because now we're having this conversation. And my position is let's continue to have this conversation, not just in Indiana, but across the country.
Alfie now calling on legislatures across the country to revisit their policies so police aren't prevented from issuing an alert when a child's life is at risk. Jenna Webster, 13 News.
Beyond the Indiana State House, parents want to know what they can do to protect their children from the threats online. Logan Gay joined Hamilton Southeastern families at the school that Haley attended for a crucial conversation about internet safety.
Haley's story was definitely on everyone's mind at this meeting, and they're using that as fuel to learn tools to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else.
Inside the same school where 17-year-old Haley Busby once went to class, parents gathered for a lesson of their own, learning how to protect their kids from online predators.
It's just been super heavy, and I feel like as parents, it just feels like this has just been such a violation of the community, like of our safety, of what we feel is real.
The event was planned before Haley's death, but her story is what brought many parents here Wednesday night.
The conversations with parents, kids, everyone for weeks have just been heavy, and everyone's just trying to figure out how to make sense of it.
Former Assistant U.S. Attorney Tiffany Preston led the conversation. She spent nearly 18 years investigating internet crimes against children. Because of the graphic nature of some conversations, children and news cameras were not allowed inside. But Preston says the goal is simple. Use what we know from Haley's case to empower families.
It really comes down to three important things: communicating with our kids, talking with them, telling them about the dangers that are out there in an age-appropriate way, restricting access to some apps until they're ready, and most importantly, providing support.
Preston says any child with internet access can be at risk.
Most often, kids who are targeted by these specific type of predators are kids who are doing well in school. They have a smartphone, they have extracurriculars, they are close with their families.
She says that's why parents can't assume their child isn't vulnerable.
We live in a modern world and you need to be prepared and at the same time teach them with love.
Okay, so that's a great message that was just given. We need to teach them with love, right? We need to let them know that we care about them. And this is why we're telling them this. It's not to scare the, living crap out of them, which it probably does. I mean, especially when we're young and we're naive and we don't realize what's out there, right? But it does start young, and it does start with tough conversations, right? And I think that we put too much emphasis on the graphic nature of this or that, because there's nothing more graphic than a child being abducted and made to do things. I mean, prevention is the key, in my opinion. I would rather tell my children about the evil of the world than have them experience it firsthand and then never come back home, right? I mean, the fact of the matter is that we can't respect our elders the way that we used to. We just can't, because we don't know who those elders are. you know um And you do have to use the right terminology, Sandy. That's very important. That is so very important, because a lot of people like to call things out of its name, right? They just do. They like to call things, private parts of our body, different things because it's embarrassing to use the terminology. But here's the deal. If our children don't know what it is, then they're more likely to be engaged in something like that than if they are aware of it and they know that it's wrong. Most children are going to be like, no, you know what? I don't want nothing to do with that, because I don't want to end up not with my parents, not with my friends, not with my gaming community or whatever they're interested in. These are children, again, statistically, that are doing well in school, that have a loving parents and a loving home life and friends. These aren't always children who aren't doing well socially or at home. These are children that are being preyed upon, that are busy kids, but yet they're still being preyed upon, because in that regard, a predator isn't going to discriminate. Yes, it's probably easier to get a child who is disenfranchised or who isn't getting the attention they need at home, but it doesn't always look like that, right? It's not always in a certain package. It's so widespread that all of these children are being affected by it. All of these families are being affected by it. So the tough conversations, they need to happen, because we are in the modern world, right? We have to be aware. And Michelle, it was so very nice meeting you as well. Thank you so much for being here. You are so sweet. You guys all did it. I mean, I just met so many beautiful people while I was there. I was just so proud of what we did. I'm so proud of it still. All that is unseen. Good to see you. That was a great way to put it. Thank you, all that is unseen. Good to have you here. Child predators have shifted from physical spaces, bus stops, parks, to digital places inside the home, routers, Wi-Fi, games, apps. I mean, it's just unbelievable, Army Vet. I agree. It is unbelievable, the big shift that we're seeing, and they're doing it from the privacy of their own home, right? Or they could be doing whatever they want to do, and they have, a computer in their pocket, just full access to our children. And it's a scary thought, you know? And a lot of kids are, exactly, Sandy, especially teenagers, right? It's like they hate everything, right? The parents are always wrong, and they don't want to listen. They think they know it all, right? We were all like that. And it's important for them to be humbled and to be aware, right? Because again, sometimes the internet isn't always where it's at. I mean, it can be such a dangerous place, and it doesn't seem dangerous. It doesn't seem dangerous at all, but it is, So, um, aw, thank you, all that is unseen. Aw, you guys are so kind. Thank you. All right, guys. So let's hear what this mama has to say.
Go home and check all of our phones and check all of my kids' settings and just have a conversation about all of that I learned.
In Fishers, Logan Gay, 13 News.
Okay, guys, I want to read this sign that's back here really quick. So just bear with me on this, because I agree with this mama here. she wants to go home and have that tough conversation, check the settings, helicopter parent a little bit. I know not a lot of parents like to do that, but we really can't help it, right? Because it's just a part of it. So, this is Haley, an acronym with her name in it. So this is like heartbreaking. Gosh, this is hard. Um, Online predator protection for Haley, and this is inspired by Haley because she lost her life. So number one is hide personal information, right? Your name, age, school, location, photos, etc. So, I need to get this on a screenshot and I will share it on my community page because I think this is a great template for parents. And you can show the children this beautiful young lady, right? And this is why we're doing this is for her. And I think that helps with the conversation. So, hi, Poppy Love. Good to see you. Thank you for being here. So, we also have A for avoid private conversations with strangers, especially off the platform. So, again, if you're playing Roblox and someone wants to take you off of Roblox and go to a different place, I mean, that is something very simple that we can teach even little kids, right? But again, I almost am so hesitant to even let them have access to something like this, right? There's plenty of games that they can play. If they don't know, they're missing out there, and things like that. But then again, I'm sure there's kids at school that talk about it and play it. It's just, I don't know. It's like playing with fire. Um, but if you tell a child, look, if you're playing a game and someone is trying to chat with you, and they try to bring you into a different platform, that's a red flag. I mean, that's very easy to break that down for even a small child to understand, right? So I, in Haley's name, is identify grooming tactics, right? So flattery, gifts, secrecy, number one, secrecy, pressure. If you feel pressured, if you feel uncomfortable, is a red flag. I think we need to teach kids what red flags are, right? Because that's easy, that's simple, that's feasible. They can see it, right? You can show them red flag and they'll start connecting that, right? Because kids are super intuitive, they're smart, they're very good at technology, right? So if they can get these concepts of technology, then they can get a red flag. Absolutely, no doubt about it in my mind. And I worked with a lot of kids. I think they can absolutely get these very basic strategies, right, to protect themselves online from these online predators and groomers, right? So L in Haley's name stands for leave and block immediately, right? So don't explain, don't argue with the person, don't tell them, don't tell this person, well, I'm not allowed to talk to you. No, you block them immediately and leave the situation. Boom, you're out of there. No reason for you to be in there because it's dangerous and this person could hurt you, right? And that's just putting it very simply for little ones. E in Haley's name stands for evidence, screenshots, messages. Save, don't delete, right? And I was talking about that earlier as part of my trauma, right? Save everything. Don't delete it because you're going to need it later on as evidence, right? Because it's your word against theirs. So, and then the Y in Haley's name says you're not in trouble, right? Tell an adult. And that's one thing that I've always told my daughter. No matter what, if you come to me and you have a problem, even if you did something or you feel guilty or something happened and you were involved, please come and tell me the truth and we're going to get through it. You're not going to be in trouble for telling me the truth, right? So that is those are huge, guys. This is a great template. Whoever made this, I don't know who it was. I think it may have been her parents because this is in support of Haley's Law. Pink for Haley, her name, right? Hide personal information, avoid private conversations, identify grooming tactics, leave and block immediately, evidence, screenshots, and messages, and you're not in trouble. This could help. This is a great visual for kids, for older kids, for teenagers. This needs to be implemented everywhere for online safety, in my opinion.
813 News.
As parents work to keep their children safe online, the suspect in Haley's disappearance is held in federal custody. What's next in his criminal case? But first,
We will be okay, sweetheart. Please allow yourself to finally rest. We love you.
an outpouring of love as an entire community comes together to celebrate Haley's life. That's next as our special report continues. Welcome back. Haley's community continues to show their support for her family. This portrait of Haley was painted by her junior high art teacher and is currently displayed in Fisher City Hall. On February 12th, Haley's community came out to show their love, support, and shared grief at her celebration of life at I-Town Church in Fishers. Logan Gay shares the emotional memories of a girl gone far too soon.
Although Haley's life was short, her service showed the countless moments that will live on through the people who loved her and the community that stood behind her.
Inside Haley Busby's celebration of life service, a message written by her father, Bo, gave everyone a glimpse into the quiet, beautiful moments her family says will be in their hearts forever.
I still consider myself the luckiest dad ever. I will always feel your sweet hugs and kisses on my cheek, though now I won't have to wipe off the lip gloss.
Her family says Haley's smile said everything. She was sweet, patient, kind, smart, and a leader.
Such a curious mind led her to pursue journalism. She was part of the broadcast journalism news team at school, sometimes in the director of news role.
Along with her bubbly personality, her family says people might be surprised to learn she could also be quiet and shy, but still had a strong presence. In a statement, her father says he understands, like most teenagers, she was just doing her best.
I know the teenage years were tough at times, but you navigated them with such grace and strength. Like so many others, you may have felt alone at times, despite the love that surrounded you. But I want you to know this wasn't your fault. And today, I'm here to show you that you were never alone and you never will be.
And with that mindset, her family says they will continue forward.
Please guide me as I try my best to tuck in your sister the way you did every night.
Her father says she saved him the day she was born and gave him a purpose to love and protect her. Now he says he and the community members around him are using that same purpose to help others.
The world is a sadder place without you, Haley, but it is not broken. You're still in our life. Your family will carry your legacy, your love in our hearts, your memories in our minds.
I want you to know that the changes we make going forward will be rooted in the love you brought into the world during your time with us. We will be okay, sweetheart. Please allow yourself to finally rest. We love you. With all my love, your proud dad.
In Noblesville, Logan Gay, 13 News.
The outpouring of love did not stop with that funeral. This is video of Busby's neighborhood last night. Their neighbors passed out pink light bulbs to light up this neighborhood with Haley's favorite color. That way her family would know they were not alone. It wasn't just the adults showing support for Haley's family. Her classmates, the kids who walked the halls of Hamilton Southeastern with her for years, are showing their support.
Okay, guys, so before we get into her classmates, I thought that was beautiful to see the pink just lit up everywhere, right? For Haley. She was so loved, right? It's absolutely sad. It's heartbreaking. But I did want to share with what she says here too. Just as a heads up, if you ever have to report stuff like this, don't be surprised if your local LE says, quote, "We don't have anything to do with the internet crime. Call this number for the FBI," end quote. I had to learn that as well. And that's why that's the first place that I went to when I was experiencing what I had to with the other creators on this platform, right? I went straight to the FBI until it came to my local jurisdiction, and that's when I was able to do something locally. You're absolutely right, Witchy Mama. And those people want real life. So that's the only way that I was able to handle it locally. Otherwise, online crimes are a federal offense and handled by the FBI. So thank you so much for pointing that out. That's very important because it can discourage people. You know, it really can discourage people. So, Chuchi said, check your text for age requirement. Let's see. Here, guys, I will check that while I play this through a little bit. We'll hear what her classmates have to say.
The day after Haley's celebration of life, the students got together to hand out T-shirts. Volunteers helped unpack the shirts and then sort them by size for students to buy. All the proceeds go to Haley's family. But keeping her memory alive was important too.
We just wanted to enable the community to support in a way that carries on Haley's legacy, that shows everybody and reminds them of who she was and what she was passionate about, journalism being one of those things.
Many of the volunteers were her fellow students who remembered Haley for her kindness most of all.
She was always a light. She was very positive. Like, she was just an amazing person all around.
She was extremely sweet, and she was always like really kind to me. So I think that by having this like line out for people to purchase, they're able to kind of just like remember her as being a really nice person.
Many of the volunteers were teachers and staff, including those who had Haley in class with them, trying to be there for her classmates as they processed their own grief.
The adults in this building are hurting too. You know, I think sometimes we take that for granted. We're like, she was a student and the students are hurting, but I have some friends that had her in class, and it's been a struggle for us as well because we put our feelings aside when we're here to be there for our students, and then we have to deal with our own on our own time. So if you see a teacher, just thank them.
Outside the cafeteria at Hamilton Southeastern stands Haley's tree, covered in heart-shaped notes, each carrying a message of love and support meant for Haley from the students and staff at her school. That fundraiser for Haley's family has already raised more than $5,000. They're still selling shirts at the fan stand and during sporting events. There's also a link where you can order a shirt. We've got it posted on WTHR.com. The service is over, but the grief over that loss is not.
Okay, guys, so this is the guy that is being charged with trafficking Haley, but we still don't know who took her life if it wasn't him, right? So this is all alleged. He has not been convicted yet. He is awaiting trial with no bond. The Discord requirements, and thank you, Chuchi, for sending this to me. So the minimum age for Discord is 13. 13. You must be 13 to use Discord. Accounts found to belong to users under 13 will be deleted. How do they manage that? Age verification 2026 updates. While most users will not need to take action, Discord is implementing systems to verify that users accessing adult content are 18 plus. This may involve scanning ID or using a video selfie with an alternative non-evasive methods being developed. Well, I don't care how evasive it is. It's not going to be evasive for me to take a picture of my own face and show that I'm old enough to be on there. You know? And maybe if we scan these people's IDs, it will deter them from using that as an access point for children. But yeah, Discord only requires the user to be at least 13. to create an account and use its services. Users age 13 to 17 are classified as teens, and as of February 2026, they are subject to strict default safety settings that restrict access to age-gated NSFW content, right, for mature audiences or ages. But how are they verifying age? You know, how are they verifying that age? And I don't know about you, but 13 isn't far from 12. I don't know that I would consider, I mean, maybe yes, a teenager because they're 13, right? But are they mentally equipped to handle being on something like this? I don't think so. Not when we see so many cases where children are being abducted from these websites, encrypted websites where we can never find out what happened to them. That's scary. The police can't even find out what happened to them. Hello, Kylie's Nail Candy. Thank you for being here. So let's move on to this. And thank you, Chuji, for that. Because that's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. So let's take a look at this scumbag.
And neither is the quest for justice. What's next in the criminal case around the disappearance of Haley Busby? When we come back. The investigation into the disappearance of Haley Busby has identified a suspect, but the search for justice is far from over. Tyler Thomas's defense team waived his first two hearings, but we are a long way from a trial. Adam Brower and Sam Fife join me in studio. They're with the law firm Banks and Brower. Both of these men work as defense attorneys. Both have prosecuting experience, but neither of them are affiliated with this particular case. But they're offering analysis for us based on their experience. Thanks, guys, so much.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Thank you. I think one of the big questions that we hear from a lot of viewers right now, why haven't prosecutors filed a murder charge in the case?
I'll tell you that's honestly pretty typical in a situation like this. So the information comes in, they evaluate it, and they know that there are certain charges that they can definitely make pretty quickly, right? So based on the information in the investigation, they knew they had the fact that she had been transferred across state lines. They knew, in fact, that there was something sexual in nature that occurred. Those are pretty quick and easy, right? So they filed the state-related case first, and then at the end of that, the feds know that they're going to jump in. They end up dismissing the state-based charges, and now they're left with the federal charges they know they can easily prove and keep him in custody for. That allows them enough time to continue to investigate, and clearly I think this is going to result in a federal murder.
In terms of, you're not privy, of course, to the details of this particular case, but help us.
Okay, so this is what the defense attorney just said in a nutshell, that they picked up the easier or the low-hanging fruit charges, right, in this case, and so that's what we're seeing him being charged with now. But he's saying that this is going to become a federal murder case, is to the best of his understanding and from his expertise and experience in the field of defending shitheads. No offense against him. I'm glad to have his commentary.
Let's understand what goes into the decision in terms of what charges to file.
Well, a lot of information. It's going to be the entire investigation they've done. There's going to be, always some thought, can we prove this beyond a reasonable doubt? What can we actually prove? What may we lose at trial? And if we lose one thing at trial, could it impact other charges that we have? I'm sure a murder charge will be coming, and it could come at any time.
Yeah, what I would add to that is the higher the level of the offense, the more careful they want to be, right? You don't want to come out of the gate without knowing you're going to be able to prove it. So they're going to come out of it with the things they know that they can prove. And then once he's in custody and on a bond that he's probably not going to be able to post, it gives them enough time to go back and investigate the more serious things.
So Thomas has been relatively cooperative, even showing investigators where Haley's body was buried, but his attorney says he will plead not guilty to any murder charges. So what kind of defense might they pursue here?
Yeah, I wouldn't honestly read too deeply into that one. So any criminal defense attorney worth their weight is going to enter a preliminary plea of not guilty right out of the gate, because you don't want your client to fully admit to something until you've had a chance to review the evidence. So it's very typical, even if a defendant shows up at the initial hearing and doesn't even have an attorney, the judge will enter a preliminary plea of not guilty on their behalf. So that's not something to read too deeply into.
Okay. Federal cases can often take a
Okay, guys, he's about to say federal cases can take a long time. I think any case out there, once it goes to trial, it can take a while for it to come to a resolution. We're seeing that in the Michael Monkey Vaughn case right now. If we look back at the original probable cause affidavit, we can see that the police absolutely knew everything there was to know about what happened to Monkey at the very beginning, right? Minus some details that will come out, or what their investigation has brought them. But they had a basic, and I would say even more than a basic understanding of what happened, and evidence, mounting evidence. So I think that's what we're seeing here as well. I think it's important to recognize that there's always going to be a preliminary guilty plea as it pertains to cases like this. So I thought that was interesting to share as well.
long time. Is it too early to think about when a trial might actually take place?
Honestly, yes. It's going to take a long time before we get there. There's still likely investigation that has to be done before the government or the defense is even ready to consider a trial.
Yeah, especially on a murder. Most federal cases that we're involved on, the law of averages is going to be 9 months to a year. You couple that with a high-profile case involving murder, it's very common for it to take a while to go to trial.
So what would be the next steps for both the prosecution and the defense as we get ready for a potential trial?
So the main thing first is get the charges filed, right? And then there's going to be what's referred to as the discovery phase. So the federal government will have an order from the judge saying you have to get the evidence to the defense counsel within a certain amount of time. This is going to have a lot of evidence just based on the indictment, the complaint, actually. There's a lot of nuance. There's search warrants. There's going to be medical records tied to the autopsy, I'm sure. There's all these search warrants tied to the third-party request for discovery for phone records. So it's going to be a long, drawn-out process of making sure the discovery is done.
Is there something that our viewers should be watching in terms of the process of the trial coming? Is there something that they ought to be paying attention to as something that would be key to proving that he was guilty or not guilty?
Yeah, I'll tell you, just in reading the complaint and the fact that that he led them to the body, I think the argument that he's not involved in some way is going to be very, very, very difficult. I think the next thing to look for is the actual indictment on the murder. It's a little bit different at the federal level. There's a complaint, and then there is an indictment. You can move forward just based on the complaint by agreement. Most of the time it goes to a grand jury, and the grand jury is the one that hands down the indictment. So that might be the next stage, or his counsel may just agree that they're going to come to some sort of an agreement pre-indictment, but that's all going to play out over time.
You have any thoughts along those lines?
Well, again, it can take a lot of time. Again, the first step is going to be waiting for the indictment on the murder charge. I anticipate that's going to come. I don't know how long it will take, but I would be shocked if it does not happen soon. And then
Unless they take a deal, guys. And like I said before, let's not, jump to any conclusions here, but I also think that it's a very strong possibility that a deal is going to be made, especially since he led them right to her body. And again, as this defense attorney put so eloquently, put out there, is it's going to be very hard for him to deny involvement when he knew exactly where Haley was. So I think there's going to be a deal, in my opinion, but that remains to be seen. So let's look out for the indictment. That's the next step, or a plea deal.
discovery phase can take a long time. Like Mr. Brower just said, there's going to be a lot of evidence, the digital evidence, the phones, all the records from the social media apps, the communications. It's going to be voluminous. There's going to be quite a bit for them to get through, and it's going to take a lot of time.
Adam Brower and Sam Fife, thank you both for joining us.
Yes, thank you for having us.
The fight for justice for Haley is far from over. Questions still remain about what happened, and her family is still grieving an unimaginable loss.
I want you to know that the changes we make going forward will be rooted in the love you brought into the world.
But the impact of her life is just beginning to be felt. From classmates sharing messages of love and working to keep her memory alive.
She was a beautiful soul.
She was always a light.
To lawmakers fighting to make sure that no other children suffer as she did.
We will provide every tool necessary to ensure that this will never happen again.
And parents learning to keep their kids safe at home.
Like, hey, we're figuring it out. We're not just leaving it alone.
And a community united in showing her family they are not alone.
Okay, guys, so that is the whole town lit up pink for Haley, right? She is making an impact, even though her life was taken far too soon. So I really wanted to highlight Haley's story today, and a special shout out to our good friend that sent this over to me in order for us to be able to do that. I think it's so important for us to recognize when these things happen that one, they could be prevented, but also that the awareness that's out there can help other people avoid these unfortunate and tragic situations. We need to be very aware of what our children are being exposed to, especially when there's so much secrecy involved. So I'm going to make sure that I get that out for you guys. The Haley Busby law, the checklist to go over with children, with your grandchildren, with your children. Have those conversations, because kids are very, very intuitive. They are extremely intelligent. They are like sponges, right? So if we can start that conversation and that awareness, it is going to be like armor for them moving forward in a world where there are predators around every corner. Even in the most innocent environments like church, there are predators that are preying on innocent people, innocent children. So I think we have to absolutely exercise the awareness and just make sure that we're all looking out for one another. So, especially the children. So I want to come back on tonight, guys. I will probably be on about 11 o'clock tonight. I'm going to set up my live, and I want to discuss Katie Proudfoot's interview. I'm going to upload that video in between the break here, and I'll be back to review that with you all tonight. There are tons of red flags in the interview that I want to discuss and go over with you all. So I hope you're able to join in the conversation. I know that you guys have probably watched Katie over and over and over again, and then many of us creators have reviewed, right, her interview, but I haven't done a proper review of her interview, and I need to. I think it's important to tell you guys what I think about it, and I want to hear what you all have to say about it. So I absolutely want to join back up tonight in order to do that. So just look out for that notification, and we'll definitely be back to discuss that further. Thank you, Witchy. Thank you so much. Oh, I so appreciate you. And thank you so much for dropping the membership link. And guys, if you guys could help support the channel by buying a membership or by doing a Cash App or a Venmo or a Super Chat, Super Stickers, they're always welcome. It helps me keep the channel going because I couldn't do it without you guys. I really couldn't. It's just one of those things where it's a group effort. So but I know that you guys are just as passionate about these cases as I am. And thank you, Witchy Mama, for passing out Sebastian's flyer. If you guys could just take this link here and send it to 5 people and ask those 5 people to send it to 5 more, we can really start building more awareness for Sebastian's case, right? The more pressure we apply right now, the better, because we've already gone there and applied pressure in person. Now we need to build awareness and let everyone know, right? Because I'm going to be working on some videos as well to convey what I was feeling while I was there, right? And that's something that I'll be working on too, but I need to start pushing out live streams because I'm about a week behind. So, I did a couple while I was there, but not nowhere near as much as I need to. Um, so we'll definitely push that out. And I also want to go over Mr. and Mrs. E with Josh from the lab because that and Aunt E, because that was a fantastic live full of information and just the red flags, right? The red flags are so important and identifying them can really save lives, and save horrible, tragic circumstances. Um, we all try to avoid those, right? But sometimes it's hard to. Um, oh, thank you all that is unseen for becoming a new member. Welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Oh, awesome. Thank you. So, I mean, it's just a group effort, guys, and like Seth was saying too, at the gathering of voices, it takes a village, right? We all need to be looking out for one another because there is this huge dichotomy now that we're just seeing over and over and over again, this good versus evil, and it's like nobody's perfect, and I hate to judge others, but when we see something that's purely evil, as we're seeing in Haley's case, as we're seeing in Sebastian's case, as we're seeing in many of these cases, even little Summer Wells, I mean, her parents are absolutely gross, right? I mean, okay, again, I don't want to try to judge people, but it's disgusting. No, it's uncondonable. It's unacceptable, the behavior. And even Josh talked a little bit about, Don Wells getting up there and showing his twig and berries. I mean, who does that? And definitely disrespectful to their own family members. So, and a beautiful little girl like Summer. And I'll put Summer's picture up really quick too, just for people who don't know who Summer is. That's little Summer Wells, and she's been missing. They've done, different age progressions on her because she's been missing for so long, and they were cutting her hair. It seemed like to be, you know, it just seemed like they were doing it as a punishment. Her hair was shaved many times. And this picture is one I always like to show because this is Candace with all of her dumb facial expressions. Well, she was just gone, and then you have Summer dancing in front of a barrel that says for sale. Summer's still missing. And what happened to her? These kids don't just vanish, guys. Oh, Nani McPoppins, welcome to the Dragon Tribe. Thank you so much for becoming a new member. Oh, that's so sweet, Nani. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you. You guys are amazing. So let's all get together later and let's go over the interview finally of Katie, right? Katie's 2-year anniversary video, and we will come together and see what we all think of it. Again, I love you guys all so very, very, very much. Thank you all for being here. And I will get that checklist off for Haley's Law. Let me see if I can't find a link. I think there's a petition as well. So let's get that out there. Let's sign that petition. Let's make a difference, as much as we can to support her family, who is just probably so heartbroken, but their drive to help other families is what is going to keep them going. And unfortunately, that's what they have, and to make Haley proud. Um, so, thank you, Nani. You guys are so sweet. Thank you so much, you guys, for thanking all of our new members and giving them a warm welcome to the Dragon Tribe. So, all right, guys. Well, I will see you all later tonight. You all have a wonderful rest of your evening.